Get out and don't come back, Mom screamed, throwing my clothes on the lawn. 7 years later, security called. Ma'am, your parents are at the gate of your estate. I smiled and said, let them wait. I set down my coffee and stared at the security monitor showing 2 figures huddled under an umbrella at the gates of my Malibu estate. The same parents who'd thrown me out like garbage on my 18th birthday. The same ones who'd called me worthless, a burden, a waste of space. Ma'am? Security's voice crackled through the intercom. They say it's urgent. Family emergency. Family. The word tasted bitter even after all these years. I'm Luna Thorne, though they knew me as Lucy Ann Thompson, the daughter they'd erased from their lives. At 25, I owned a tech startup valued at $200 million, lived in a house that cost more than my parents would see in 10 lifetimes, and had built everything from nothing, from less than nothing, actually, from active sabotage. Tell them to wait, I repeated. I'm in a meeting. I wasn't, but they could stand in the rain for a while. God knows I'd stood in worse. 7 years ago, I'd woken up on my 18th birthday to my mother ripping the covers off my bed. Get up, she'd snarled. You're 18 now, legal adult, time to go. I'd blinked, confused. Go where? I have school. Not anymore. We've withdrawn you. Your father and I discussed it. We're done raising you. But I graduate in 2 months. Should have thought about that before you decided to be such a disappointment. My crime? I'd refused to drop out at 16 to work at my uncle's factory. I'd wanted to finish high school, maybe even college. I had dreams of working in tech, of building something meaningful. To my parents, Karen and Dale Thompson, that made me too good for my raising and ungrateful. My younger brother Kyle watched from the doorway, smirking. At 16, he'd already dropped out to work construction with Dad, the golden child who understood his place. Mom, please, I'd begged as she threw my clothes onto the front lawn. Where am I supposed to go? Not my problem anymore. Maybe those fancy dreams of yours will keep you warm. The neighbors had watched, some with pity, others with judgment. In our small Georgia town, parents' word was law. If the Thompsons were kicking out their daughter, she must have done something to deserve it. My father had stood on the porch, arms crossed. Don't come back begging when you fail. You made your choice. What choice? I'd screamed. Wanting an education? Thinking you're better than us. He'd corrected. Well, let's see how far that attitude gets you in the real world. They'd gone inside and locked the door. Just like that. I was homeless with nothing but the clothes they'd thrown out and $73 I'd saved from tutoring kids in math. I'd walked to the library, the only place I could think of, and sat there until closing, trying not to cry. The librarian, Mrs. Chen, had noticed. Lucy, shouldn't you be home? I don't have one anymore. She'd listened to my story, then done something that changed my life. She'd given me a laptop. It's old, she'd said, but it works. And Lucy, don't let them win. You're brilliant. I've watched you help those kids, seen how quickly you understand concepts. That's a gift. I'd slept in the park that night, laptop clutched to my chest. The next day, I'd used the library's Wi-Fi to search for resources, homeless shelters, youth programs, anything. That's when I'd found Future Path, a program for homeless youth that provided temporary housing and help finishing school. The catch? It was in Los Angeles. I'd used my $73 for a Greyhound ticket and never looked back. The program gave me a bed in a shared room and access to online classes. I finished high school in 6 weeks, then started taking free coding courses. Turns out, I was good at it, really good. By 19, I was freelancing web design. By 20, I'd saved enough to rent a studio apartment. By 21, I'd built an app that helped homeless youth find resources, shelters, food banks, job training. It went viral after a tech blogger discovered it. That's when the investors came calling. This is brilliant, one had said. Personal experience? You could say that. They'd invested $2 million. I'd used it to expand the app, hire developers, create partnerships. By 23, we'd helped connect 100,000 homeless youth with resources. By 24, Google offered to buy us for $200 million. I'd said no, we were just getting started. Now, at 25, Path Forward was the leading platform for youth in crisis. We'd expanded internationally, partnered with governments, saved lives, and I'd done it all without my family's support or approval. Ma'am? Security interrupted my thoughts. They're still waiting. The woman is crying, crying. My mother had never cried for me, not when I'd begged to stay, not when I'd called from LA, hungry and scared, swallowing my pride to ask for help, only to be told I was dead to them. Send them to the guest house. I decided, I'll meet them there. I didn't want them in my home. The guest house, sterile, impersonal, was enough. I took my time getting ready: designer jeans, a simple but expensive sweater, minimal jewelry. I wasn't the desperate girl they'd thrown away. I was Luna Thorne, CEO of Path Forward, named one of Forbes 30 under 30. They needed to see the difference. The walk across my estate took 5 minutes. 5 minutes to cross grounds that sprawled over 2 acres, past the pool, the tennis court, the meditation garden. 5 minutes to prepare for faces I'd only seen in nightmares for 7 years. They were sitting on the guest house porch, soaked despite the umbrella. My mother looked older, grayer, smaller. My father had lost weight, his face gaunt. They both looked up as I approached, and I saw the moment they recognized me. "Lucy?" My mother's voice broke. "It's Luna now," I corrected. "Lucy died 7 years ago." "You look," my father trailed off, taking in my appearance, my confidence, my clear success. "Alive? Fed? Not begging on the streets like you predicted?" "We didn't know," my mother whispered. "We thought." "You thought what? That you'd throw out your teenage daughter and I'd magically be fine? Or did you hope I'd fail and come crawling back?" "We made a mistake," my father said quietly. "A mistake?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "A mistake is forgetting to buy milk. You threw me out. You withdrew me from school. You told me I was worthless and not to come back. We were angry." "About what? That I wanted to graduate? That I had dreams beyond this small town?" My mother started crying harder. "We were wrong. We see that now." "Now?" I sat down across from them, studying these strangers who shared my DNA. "What's changed? Why are you here?" They exchanged glances. My father cleared his throat. "Kyle's sick." "Of course. There was always something." "Sick how?" "Kidney failure. From an accident at the construction site. He needs a transplant." "And you want me to get tested?" I said flatly. "You're his sister." I was his sister. Until you decided I wasn't part of the family anymore. "Please," my mother begged. "He's dying." "Whatever happened between us?" "Whatever happened?" I stood up. "You mean when you threw me out with nothing? When I called begging for help and you hung up? When I sent graduation announcements from my GED program and you returned them unopened? We didn't know you'd become this." My father gestured vaguely at me. "This? You mean successful? Happy? Alive? Rich?" He said quietly. There it was, the truth. "So if I was still homeless, still struggling, would you be here? Or is it only worth claiming me as family now that I have something you need?" "That's not fair." "Fair?" I laughed. "Was it fair when I slept in parks? When I went hungry? When I cried myself to sleep wondering what I'd done to make my own parents hate me?" "We don't hate you," my mother sobbed. "No? Then what do you call throwing out your child for wanting an education? We thought you were being uppity, thinking you were too good for us." "I never thought that. I just wanted more. I wanted to learn, to grow, to build something." "Why was that so threatening?" "Because we couldn't," my father admitted. "We couldn't give you college, couldn't understand your dreams. It was easier to call you ungrateful than admit we were limited." The honesty surprised me, but it didn't erase 7 years of abandonment. "So you threw me away." "We were wrong," he repeated. "But Lucy, Luna, you're still Kyle's sister. He needs help." "Where is Kyle?" I asked. "Why isn't he here begging himself?" Another glance between them. "He doesn't know we're here. He's ashamed of how he treated you." "He should be." I remembered Kyle's smirk as Mom threw my clothes out, his laughter when I'd pleaded with Dad, the text he'd sent from my parents' phone: "Stop calling. You're not our problem anymore." "He was just a kid," my mother defended. So was I. Silence stretched between us. The rain had stopped, but the air was heavy with more than humidity. "I'll get tested," I finally said. Their faces lit up with hope. "But not for you, and not for Kyle. For the 16-year-old boy who was poisoned by your bitterness. Maybe with a kidney from someone who made something of herself. He'll learn it's okay to dream." "Thank you." My mother reached for me. I stepped back. "I'm not doing this for free. We'll pay." "With what?" "You can't afford my gardener." "No. I want something else. I want you to volunteer." "Volunteer?" "At Path Forward shelters. I want you to serve meals to homeless youth. To see their faces. To understand what you did to me." "For how long?" "Forever. Or at least until you understand that every one of those kids was thrown away by someone who should have loved them. Every one of them is somebody's Lucy." My father's face crumbled. "We'll do it. And I want a public statement. A video admitting what you did. We'll use it in our awareness campaigns about youth homelessness." "Lucy, Luna, those are my terms. Take them or leave them." They nodded, defeated. "One more thing," I added. "After the transplant, if I'm a match, we're done. No happy family reunions. No using my success to brag to your friends. You lost the right to claim me 7 years ago." We understand, my mother whispered. I stood to leave, then turned back. You know what the worst part is? If you just supported me, just believed in me, I would have shared all of this with you. I would have bought you a house, taken care of you, made sure you never struggled. But you threw me away because I dared to want more. We know, my father said. We know we lost the best thing we ever had. No, I corrected. You threw away the best thing you ever had. I lost nothing. I gained everything. I walked back to my house, leaving them in the guest house. My assistant would handle the rest, the testing, the logistics, the paperwork. I'd done my part. That night, I sat on my balcony overlooking the ocean, thinking about the girl who'd slept in parks with a borrowed laptop. She'd been so scared, so alone, but so determined. You did it, I whispered to her. You proved them wrong. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Kyle. Luna, Mom told me you're getting tested. Thank you. I'm sorry for everything. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for every kid who's told they're worthless. Prove me wrong. Make something of your second chance. I blocked the number and went inside. 2 weeks later, the test came back. I was a match. The surgery was scheduled. The legal documents signed. My parents started their volunteer work, serving meals to kids who looked like I had lost, scared, defiant. The day before the surgery, I visited Kyle in the hospital. He looked small, sick, nothing like the cocky teenager who'd laughed at my pain. Luna, he said. I interrupted. Don't apologize. Don't thank me. Just promise me something. Anything. When you get better, do something with your life. Get your GED, go to college, build something. Don't let their limitations become yours. I will, he promised. I want to be like you. No, I said firmly. Be better. I built my life on spite and survival. Build yours on purpose and possibility. The surgery went well. I recovered in a private suite, working on my laptop, running my company. My parents tried to visit. I had security turn them away. The debt was paid. A year later, I got a letter. Kyle had enrolled in community college, studying computer science. He included a photo, him in a Path Forward volunteer shirt, serving meals at a shelter. Learning to give back, he wrote, "Thank you for the second chance." I kept the letter but didn't respond. Some bridges, once burned, couldn't be rebuilt. They could only serve as reminders of how far we'd come. The security footage from that rainy day, my parents at my gate, begging, I kept that too, not as revenge, but as proof. Proof that the girl they'd called worthless had built an empire. Proof that sometimes, the best response to being thrown away is to become someone they never imagined you could be. They'd kicked me out at 18 for being worthless. 7 years later, when they begged at my gate, I gave them exactly what they'd given me, nothing but the chance to earn redemption through serving others they'd consider worthless. The difference? I became priceless by helping kids like me. They became worthless the moment they threw their daughter away. And that's the real karma, not success or revenge, but the knowledge that every youth I helped find shelter is a repudiation of what they did to me. Every success story from Path Forward is proof that throwing away children doesn't break them. It just teaches them to build homes where everyone belongs.
The letter trembled in my hands as I stood in my kitchen, surrounded by the organized chaos of prep work for tomorrow's wedding reception. Yellowed and creased, it was written in my brother's messy teenage scrawl. I promise I'll help pay for culinary school when I make it big, sis. You're the best cook ever. I'm Jade, and that promise died 15 years ago, just like most of Brent's promises do. The irony of finding this letter today, of all days, wasn't lost on me. My phone buzzed again, the 8th time in the last hour. I knew it was Brent without looking. Finally, I answered. "Where have you been? I've been calling forever." His voice boomed through the speaker. "Working, Brent. You know, that thing people do to earn money?" I balanced the phone between my ear and shoulder while piping delicate rosettes onto a trial cake. "Perfect timing then. I need you to cater my housewarming party next weekend. Nothing fancy, just your usual spread. Maybe those mini crab cakes everyone loves?" I stopped piping. "Next weekend? Brent, I'm booked solid through the next month." "Come on, Jade. It's family. You can move some things around. This is important. I've got potential investors coming. You know how crucial first impressions are." The rosette I was working on collapsed under excessive pressure from my hands. My business isn't just a hobby I can move around. These are paid contracts. But family comes first, right? Mom always says that. I laughed bitterly. Funny how family only comes first when you need something from me. Don't be dramatic. Remember when I helped you move last year? You mean when you showed up 3 hours late, moved 2 boxes, and left early for a golf game? That's not fair. I had commitments. He paused. Look, this is really important. I'll pay you, well, cover the ingredients at least. Family discount, right? My kitchen timer buzzed, saving me from responding immediately. I pulled out a tray of test appetizers I'd been working on for next week's wedding. The same wedding I'd have to reschedule if I agreed to Brent's demands. How many people? I heard myself ask, hating that I was even considering it. Just 50 or 60, maybe 70 tops. Nothing you can't handle. I closed my eyes, calculating the cost, the time, the staff I'd need. Brent, that's a $3,000 event minimum. Jade, come on, you're family. I just bought this house. I'm stretched thin as it is. So am I. Do you have any idea what my overhead costs are? The staff I need to pay? You're being selfish. Mom will be so disappointed. There it was. The guilt card. I glanced at the old letter again, still lying on my counter. Something inside me snapped. Fine, I said flatly. Next Saturday, send me the details. You're the best, sis. I knew I could count on you. Mom was right. You'll never let family down. After hanging up, I stared at my phone until a text from Kent, my boyfriend, lit up the screen. Still on for dinner? 20 minutes later, I was sliding into a booth across from Kent at our favorite diner. His smile faded as he saw my face. Brent again? I nodded, picking at my napkin. I just found an old letter where he promised to help pay for culinary school. Remember how that turned out? You mean when he bought that luxury car instead? The very one. Now he wants me to cater his housewarming party. 60 people. For free. Kent reached across the table, taking my hand. And you said? What I always say, yes. I pulled my hand back, grabbing my phone as it buzzed with Brent's detailed demands. Jade. I know, but you don't understand the guilt trips, the family pressure. Mom always takes his side. Maybe it's time they learned what it's like without you always saving the day. I looked up from the increasingly demanding text messages. What do you mean? You've got that vacation time saved up. We could go somewhere. Next weekend, maybe? Kent, I couldn't possibly. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Brent. Actually, might be closer to 80 people. No big deal for you though, right? Family first. I stared at the message, then at Kent's concerned face, then back at my phone. The old letter flashed in my mind, along with years of broken promises and taken-for-granted favors. You know what? I said slowly, a plan forming in my mind. Maybe it's time for a beach vacation. Kent's eyes widened as he caught my meaning. Are you serious? I picked up my phone, pulled up a travel app, and started browsing flights. Family first, right? Maybe it's time I put myself first for a change. You did what? Vada nearly spat out her coffee across my kitchen counter. 3 days had passed since I'd booked the beach vacation, and I'd finally worked up the courage to tell someone. Booked a non-refundable trip to Cancun for next weekend. I continued prepping for today's corporate lunch delivery, trying to sound more confident than I felt. The same weekend as Brent's party? She leaned forward, eyes sparkling. Girl, I've been waiting 15 years for you to stand up to him. I haven't exactly told him yet. I focused on chopping herbs, avoiding her gaze. Or anyone in the family. Oh, this is delicious. Better than these amazing appetizers you're making. She popped another sample into her mouth. So, what's the plan? Before I could answer, my phone rang. Mom's face lit up the screen. Speaking of family, I showed Vada the phone. She made a go-on gesture. Hi, Mom. Jade, honey, I need you to add 10 more people to Brent's party list. Some important clients of his. I put down my knife. Did Brent ask you to call me? Well, yes, but why couldn't he call himself? He said you weren't answering his texts. Don't be difficult, Jade. This is a big opportunity for him. I caught Vada rolling her eyes dramatically. Mom, every opportunity is big for Brent. Remember my restaurant opening last year? The one he skipped for a pickup basketball game? That was different. He had commitments. And I don't? My business isn't just a hobby, Mom. Nobody's saying it is, but family comes first, I finished. Yeah, I know. After hanging up, I gripped the counter until my knuckles turned white. Vada slid over and wrapped an arm around my shoulders. You know what the worst part is? I said. Last month, Brent convinced Dad to invest in some sketchy crypto scheme instead of my catering expansion plan, didn't even let me make my pitch. Time to rip off the Band-Aid, Vada said. Show them what life's like without their reliable Jade. My phone buzzed with a text from Sophia, my niece. Mom says they're being difficult about Uncle Brent's party, but I get it. He can be a real dick sometimes. I smiled, showing Vada the message. At least someone in the family sees it. Speaking of seeing things, Vada pulled up a real estate website on her phone. Look what I found, your brother's new house listing. I stared at the screen. 1.2 million? He said he was stretched thin. Oh, but family discount, right? Vada mimicked Brent's voice perfectly. Just then, Kent walked in with travel documents in hand. Got our resort confirmation. His smile faded, seeing my expression. Having second thoughts? No, I said firmly, surprising myself. Actually, I'm getting more convinced by the minute. Good, he said, laying out the papers. Because I also booked us sunset sailing and a couple's massage. Vada clapped her hands. Now that's what I call family first. My phone buzzed again. Brent. I hit ignore. You'll have to tell them eventually, Kent said gently. I will, just not yet. I returned to my prep work. Let him sweat a little. Jade Parker, you've got an evil streak. Vada grinned. I love it. The rest of the week passed in a blur of ignored calls and vague responses to family messages. I focused on wrapping up my other catering commitments and preparing my staff for my absence. Friday evening, the night before the party, my dad called. Princess, your mother's worried. Brent says he can't reach you about tomorrow's menu. Dad. I took a deep breath. Remember when I was 12 and Brent promised to come to my dance recital? That was a long time ago. He went to a movie instead, and you all said it was fine because the movie was important to his social life. I paused. When did my thing stop being important? Silence on the line. I have to go, Dad. My flight's early tomorrow. Flight? What flight? Give Mom and Brent my love. I hung up, hands shaking. Kent found me sitting on our packed suitcase, staring at my phone. Having a crisis? He asked. No, I said, standing up. For the first time in forever, I'm having clarity. My phone lit up with a final text from Sophia. Whatever you are planning, I'm here for it. Give 'em hell, Aunt Jade. I turned to Kent. You know what? I think it's time to put my phone on airplane mode. For the whole week. That's my girl, he said, pulling me close. Ready to put yourself first? I looked around at our packed bags, the travel documents, and finally at my silent phone. More than ready. Let's see how family first works without the family doormat. The next morning, as our plane took off, I imagined Brent waking up to his perfect party day. He had no idea what was coming, and for once, I didn't feel guilty at all. The morning sun streamed through the airplane window as we reached cruising altitude. Kent squeezed my hand as I stared at my phone one last time before switching it off. Last chance to back out, he said softly. I showed him my screen. 37 missed calls and counting. No turning back now. The flight attendant stopped at our row. Mimosa. God, yes, I said, accepting the glass. Make it a double. As I sipped my drink, my mind wandered to what must be happening back home. It was 8 a.m. Brent would be waking up to his perfect party day, probably expecting his reliable sister to have everything under control. My phone buzzed one final time before I turned it off. A voicemail from Mom. Jade, honey, where are you? Brent says he can't reach you about the setup time. Call me back immediately. Kent took my phone gently from my hands and slipped it into airplane mode. Time to relax. 3 hours later, we stepped into the warm Mexican air. Palm trees swayed in the breeze, and the ocean sparkled in the distance. As we waited for our luggage, I spotted a familiar face in the crowd. Vada? I gasped. What are you doing here? She emerged from behind a column, grinning. You think I'd miss this? Kent arranged it all. I turned to Kent, who shrugged innocently. You needed backup. Plus, Vada added, someone needs to document the nuclear fallout back home. I've got Sophia on reconnaissance duty. My stomach tightened. What's happening? Vada pulled out her phone, showing me a text from Sophia. OMG Aunt Jade. Uncle Brent just realized there's no food coming. He's turning purple. It's barely noon, I said. The party's not for hours. Oh, honey. Vada scrolled through more messages. He's been calling catering services all morning. Apparently someone warned them all about taking last-minute bookings today. I raised an eyebrow at Kent, who suddenly became very interested in the luggage carousel. You didn't... I might have made a few calls, he admitted. Mentioned to some industry friends that accepting a rushed booking today could damage their relationship with your catering company. Kent! What? You're one of the biggest names in the business. People listen when your company makes requests. Our resort shuttle arrived, and as we drove along the coast, Vada's phone kept buzzing with updates. Sophia says Brent's now trying to convince your mom to cook everything herself. Vada laughed. Your mom, the woman who burned water. He's desperate, Kent said. It's almost time for his precious investors to arrive. I should have felt guilty. Instead, I felt lighter with each mile between me and home. The resort appeared ahead, a paradise of white beaches and swaying palms. As we checked in, Vada's phone chimed again. Oh, this is good, she said. Your mom finally tried calling your business line. And? Your voicemail message played. You've reached Jade's Catering. We are currently on a scheduled vacation. For emergencies, please contact our partner services. Partner services who've all been warned off. Kent finished. The hotel manager handed us our room keys. Welcome to paradise. Would you like to book any excursions? Actually, I said, how about that sunset sailing trip right now? But we just got here, Kent started. Perfect timing. The manager checked his tablet. The boat leaves in 30 minutes. As we hurried to our rooms to change, Vada's phone buzzed continuously. Brent's calling every restaurant in town, she reported. They're all booked solid. Saturday, remember? In our room, I slipped into my swimsuit, trying not to think about the chaos unfolding back home. Kent wrapped his arms around me from behind. Having regrets? I turned to face him. You know what? No. For the first time in my life, I'm not dropping everything to fix Brent's problems. Good. He kissed my forehead. Because there's a catamaran with our name on it. As we headed to the dock, Vada showed me one last message from Sophia. Mom's freaking out. Grandma's crying. Uncle Brent just threw his phone across the room. Best day ever. The captain greeted us with fresh margaritas. As we pulled away from the dock, I raised my glass. To family first, I said. To family first, Kent and Vada echoed, clinking their glasses with mine. The shore grew distant behind us, and with it, all the expectations and obligations I'd carried for years. Somewhere back home, my brother was learning a hard lesson about taking people for granted. But here, with the wind in my hair and the sun on my face, I was finally, wonderfully free. You know, Vada said, scrolling through her phone one last time before putting it away. I think this might be the best catering job you've never done. For the first time in days, I laughed without restraint. She was right. This was exactly where I needed to be. Back at Brent's new house, chaos was unfolding. I didn't witness it firsthand, of course, but Sophia's steady stream of texts to Vada painted the picture perfectly. As we lounged by the resort pool the next morning, Vada read them aloud like breaking news bulletins. Update from 4 hours ago, Vada announced, adjusting her sunglasses. Uncle Brent's trying to pass off grocery store cheese platters as artisanal selections. Even the Walmart staff looked embarrassed for him. Kent snorted into his piña colada. What time did the party start? 3 p.m., I said, checking my watch. So right about now, Vada's phone buzzed again. Oh my God, listen to this. First guests arriving. Uncle Brent told them the caterer had a family emergency. Everyone's asking if it's you. He's sweating through his designer shirt. Family emergency, I repeated. Well, he's not wrong. Wait, there's more. Vada sat up straight. Grandma's stress cooking in the kitchen. She found a Pinterest recipe for fancy appetizers. The smoke alarm's already gone off twice. Kent ordered another round of drinks. Should we feel bad? Ask me again after I hear about the investors' reactions, I said, but my stomach did a small flip. The next message came minutes later. The investors just arrived. Uncle Brent's trying to explain why there's only Costco cookies and burnt mini quiches. One guy just asked if this was some kind of joke. I closed my eyes, letting the sun warm my face. The guilt was trying to creep in, but I pushed it back. Remember your restaurant opening? Kent said, reading my expression. When Brent promised to bring those restaurant critics he knew? And then ghosted me because his fantasy football team made the playoffs? I nodded. Yeah, I remember. OMG, Vada read. Mom just found Aunt Jade's vacation post on Instagram. Uncle Brent's face went from red to purple to white. Pretty sure he stopped breathing for a second. I sat up. What post? I haven't posted anything. Kent raised his hand slowly. That might have been me. Just a subtle shot of our sunset sail yesterday. Tagged you in it. You're evil, I laughed. I love it. The updates kept coming as we moved from the pool to the beach bar. The investors left after 30 minutes. One of them actually laughed out loud. Dad's stress-eating all the backup chips. Mom's crying in the bathroom. Uncle Brent just announced that the real food is on its way. Pretty sure he's delirious. Then came the video. Sophia had managed to capture Brent's meltdown in the kitchen, his voice carrying clearly through the house. Where the hell is she? She's ruined everything. Everything. Does she know how much I have riding on this? Mom's voice in the background. I'm sure there's been some mistake. Jade would never what? Stand up to precious Brent? That was Sophia, off camera. Maybe she's tired of being taken for granted. Stay out of this, Brent snapped. This is all her fault. She promised. Family comes first. Like when you promised to help with her culinary school? Sophia shot back. Or when you convinced Grandpa not to invest in her business. Silence fell in the kitchen. The video ended. Your niece, Vada said, is my new hero. My phone lay dark and silent on the table, still in airplane mode. Part of me wanted to turn it on, to deal with the fallout. The other part ordered another margarita. They'll get over it, Kent said, reading my mind. Or they won't. Either way, you've made your point. Vada's phone chimed with the final update of the day. Party's over. Most guests left within an hour. Uncle Brent's locked himself in his study. But get this. 3 different people asked me for Aunt Jade's business card. Said anyone who could make Brent this crazy must be worth hiring. I couldn't help but laugh. So I'm getting bookings out of this? Karma, Vada said, raising her glass. Sweet, delicious karma. As the sun set over the ocean, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks, I thought about Brent's perfect party in ruins. The guilt was there, yes, but so was something else. Relief. Pride, even. You know what the funny thing is, I said, watching the waves roll in? He probably still doesn't get it. He's probably sitting there thinking I did this to hurt him, not that this is the consequence of how he's treated me for years. Want to really blow his mind? Vada grinned, holding up her phone. Sophia says she found that old letter, the one about culinary school. She's thinking of showing it to your parents. I considered it for a moment, then shook my head. Let's save that bomb for when we get back. Right now, I just want to enjoy this moment. 2 moments. Kent raised his glass. 2 consequences, Vada added. To finally putting myself first, I finished, clinking my glass with theirs as the last rays of sun disappeared beneath the horizon. 2 days into our vacation, the story exploded online. I was sipping a morning coffee on our balcony when Vada burst into our room, her phone thrust forward like breaking news evidence. "You've gone viral," she announced. "Sophia posted about the party on TikTok." Kent appeared from the bathroom, toweling his hair. "What?" I grabbed her phone. The video started with a pan across Brent's empty food tables, set with elegant platters containing sad-looking supermarket snacks. Sophia's voice narrated, "When you're a rich, entitled uncle who expects your successful caterer sister to work for free and finds out she's done being the family doormat. Justice for Aunt Jade." "Oh God," I groaned. "How many views?" 2 million and climbing, Vada said. "The comments are gold." She wasn't wrong. People were sharing their own stories of entitled siblings, tagging it, "Justice for Aunt Jade." Someone had even found my catering company's social media and started leaving 5-star reviews praising my backbone installation services. My phone, which I'd briefly turned on to check work emails, started buzzing with notifications. I quickly switched it back to airplane mode. "That's not even the best part," Vada continued scrolling. "Remember those investors? Turns out one of them is a major food critic. He posted about the disaster on his blog." She read aloud, "In 15 years of reviewing events, I've never seen such a blatant display of entitled nepotism backfiring. Note to future hosts, professional caterers are professionals for a reason. They deserve respect, compensation, and apparently, beach vacations." Kent whistled. "Well, that's going to leave a mark." A knock at our door revealed the hotel manager. "Ms. Jade, there's a situation requiring your attention." My heart sank. "My family?" "No, ma'am. Your business Instagram account has gained 50,000 followers overnight. Our social media team thought you should know. Several major magazines are requesting interviews." I sat down hard on the bed. "Interviews?" "Yes, about standing up to toxic family dynamics in business. They're calling you an inspiration," Vada squealed. "Girl, you're a movement." The manager handed me a tablet showing my company's social media. The comments section was flooded. Finally, someone showing that family first goes both ways. "Booking this queen for my wedding ASAP. Can you cater my divorce party? I'll pay triple." "This is insane," I muttered. Another notification popped up. A message from Mom. Despite my better judgment, I opened it. "Your father's disappointed. Brent's reputation is ruined. Please come home and fix this." Before I could respond, Sophia sent a new video to Vada. This one showed Brent pacing in his study, yelling into his phone, "What do you mean you're pulling out of the deal? It was just a catering issue. No, I can explain. Hello? Hello?" The camera panned to show my mother standing in the doorway, finally looking uncertain. "Maybe," she said quietly, "we should talk about how we've been treating Jade." "Not now, Mom," Brent snapped. "I'm losing everything because of her little tantrum." "Exactly." My mother's voice grew stronger. "You're losing everything because you took her for granted. Because we all did." The video ended there. I looked up to find Kent and Vada watching me carefully. "You okay?" Kent asked. "I don't know," I admitted. "This wasn't supposed to get so big." "But it needed to," Vada said firmly. "Look at your mom finally getting it. Sometimes it takes a public wake-up call." My phone buzzed again. Dad this time. "Princess, we need to talk. About that letter. About everything." The hotel manager cleared his throat. "Should I tell the magazines you're unavailable?" I thought about years of swallowed resentment, of canceled plans and broken promises, of being the reliable one, the responsible one, the one who always gave in. Then I thought about my mother's words in that video. "No," I said. "Tell them I'll do the interviews, but not until next week, when I'm back home." "And your family?" Kent asked. They can wait too. I'm done dropping everything for emergencies that aren't really emergencies. Vada's phone chimed with one final update from Sophia. Grandma found the letter. She's crying again, but different this time. Thinks she finally sees what's been happening. P.S. Got 3 more bookings for you. You're welcome. I walked to the balcony, looking out at the perfect beach day ahead. Behind me, I could hear Vada reading more viral comments, Kent ordering breakfast, the world shifting in unexpected ways. You know what? I turned back to them. Let's go snorkeling. The family drama will still be there tomorrow. And you'll be ready for it, Kent said. Yeah, I smiled, feeling stronger than I had in years. I really will be. For the first time, I realized this wasn't just about one catering job or one entitled brother. This was about setting boundaries, demanding respect, and finally, putting myself first. And apparently, 2 million people agreed with me. They want to video call, I announced, staring at my mother's text message. We were on our last full day in Mexico, lounging at the private beach cabana I'd splurged on with my suddenly booming catering deposits. Vada lowered her magazine. Are you ready for that? No, I admitted, but I don't think I'll ever be. Kent squeezed my hand. We're right here. I took a deep breath and hit accept on the call. My parents' faces filled the screen, with Brent lurking in the background of what looked like their living room. Jade? Mom started, then stopped, taking in my beachy surroundings. You look relaxed. Amazing what happens when you take a real vacation instead of catering other people's parties. Brent stepped forward. Is this a joke to you? Do you have any idea what you've done? Brent, Dad warned, but I was already sitting up straighter. What I've done? Let's talk about what you've done. Sophia, show them. The camera panned to reveal Sophia sitting quietly in the corner. She pulled out the old letter and began reading. Dear Jade, I promise when I make it big. That's not fair, Brent interrupted. I was a kid. You were 18, I shot back. I was 15, and you knew exactly what you were promising. I couldn't afford. You bought a Porsche instead, and now you have $1 million house but you can't pay your sister's catering rates? Mom's face crumpled. We didn't know about the letter. There's a lot you didn't know, Mom, or chose not to see. That's why we're calling, Dad said quietly. We need to talk, really talk. I glanced at Kent and Vada, who both nodded encouragingly. Okay, I said, let's talk. First, Mom began, we saw the media coverage. Your father and I, we had no idea how much pressure we put on you. While giving Brent a free pass on everything, Sophia added from her corner. Sophia, Brent snapped. No, she's right, Dad cut in. We've been unfair. And reading those comments online, seeing how many people related to your situation, it opened our eyes. My investors pulled out, Brent said flatly. My reputation's ruined. Your reputation? I laughed. My reputation was on the line every time you demanded free catering. One bad event could have tanked my business. Did you ever think about that? Silence fell. Even Brent looked taken aback. The thing is, I continued, surprising myself with how steady my voice was, I'm actually grateful this happened. My business has tripled in bookings. People respect someone who stands up for themselves. We respect you, Mom said softly. We should have said it sooner. Actions, Mom, not words. Dad cleared his throat. That's why I've reconsidered your business expansion proposal. If you're still interested, I'm not, I said firmly. I've had other investors reach out, people who believe in me without needing a viral video to prove my worth. More silence. Brent sat down heavily. So that's it? He asked. You're just done with family? No, I said. I'm done with being taken advantage of by family. There's a difference. We want to make this right, Mom pleaded. Tell us how. I looked at Kent, who gave me an encouraging nod. First, Brent apologizes. Not just for the party, but for years of broken promises and manipulation. Second, we establish boundaries. My business is my business. I'll offer family discounts when I choose to, not when they're demanded. Mom nodded eagerly. Of course, honey. And third, I paused, we start fresh. Equal footing. No more golden child, no more reliable doormat, just family, supporting each other equally. I can't believe you're making demands after what you did to me, Brent started, but Dad cut him off. Enough. Your sister is right, and you know it. Brent's face reddened, but he stayed quiet. So, I said, those are my terms, take them or leave them. Mom wiped her eyes. We take them, right, Brent? All eyes turned to my brother. He looked around the room, then at the letter still in Sophia's hands, and finally at me on the screen. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I really am, for everything. It's a start, I replied. When do you come home? Dad asked. Tomorrow, but I have interviews scheduled all week. Interviews? Good Morning America wants to talk about toxic family dynamics in small businesses, Vada chimed in cheerfully. She's going to be famous. Brent winced. Mom looked worried. But Dad actually smiled. That's my girl, he said, standing up for herself at last. As the call ended, I fell back against my beach chair, emotionally drained but lighter somehow. Well, Kent said, that went better than expected. Think it'll last? I asked. Vada snorted. With 2 million people watching, it better. I looked out at the ocean, at my last sunset in paradise. Tomorrow I'd head home to face whatever came next. But for the first time in my life, I'd be facing it on my own terms. One more margarita? Kent suggested. Make it a double, I smiled. We're celebrating boundaries. The morning show lights were blinding as I sat across from the host, trying not to fidget with my microphone. My first national TV interview, and my family was watching. So Jade, the host began, your story has resonated with millions. Tell us what made you finally take that stand. Before I could answer, a commotion erupted off stage. My brother's voice carried clearly. I need to speak to my sister. The host's eyes widened. Security moved to intercept Brent, but I held up my hand. It's okay. Let him through. Brent stormed onto the set, his tie askew, looking like he hadn't slept. The cameras swiveled to capture every moment. You can't do this interview, he said. You can't tell everyone our family business. Sir, the host started, but I cut her off. Why not, Brent? Scared people will learn the truth? What truth? That you abandoned your family? That you manipulated me for years? I stood up. That you convinced Dad not to invest in my business by lying about your crypto scheme? The studio fell silent. Even the cameramen seemed to hold their breath. I didn't. Brent's face paled. How did you... Sophia found the emails, I said quietly. The ones where you told Dad my business was failing, that I was too emotional to handle an investment. All while you were pushing your crypto scam. It wasn't a scam, he protested, but his voice cracked. Really? Because Dad lost $60,000. Money that could have helped expand my catering business. Money that could have helped our family actually grow instead of just feeding your ego. The host leaned forward. This is an unexpected turn. Sir, would you like to respond to these allegations? Brent looked at the cameras as if seeing them for the first time. His carefully crafted image was crumbling on national television. I was trying to protect Dad's investment, he stammered. Your business was small, and I had a better plan, I finished. Like all your better plans? Like promising to help with culinary school, then buying a luxury car instead? That was 15 years ago. And you've been making promises and breaking them ever since. The only difference now is that people are finally seeing it. Movement in the wings caught my eye. Mom and Dad had arrived with Sophia beside them. Dad's face was ashen as he held up his phone, presumably showing those damning emails. "Is this true?" he asked Brent. "Did you really say these things about your sister's business?" Brent's shoulders sagged. "Dad, I can explain." "Explain what?" Mom stepped forward. "How you sabotaged your sister, how you've been playing us against each other for years." The host was practically vibrating with excitement. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're witnessing an unprecedented family confrontation live on air." "Turn off the cameras," I said suddenly. "But, please, this isn't about ratings anymore." To my surprise, they complied. The red lights blinked off, and the studio audience was ushered out. In the sudden quiet, Brent seemed to deflate. "I didn't mean for it to go this far." "None of us did," Mom said. "But here we are." "Why?" I asked him. "Why sabotage me? I would have helped you anyway. I always did." "Because," he whispered, "you were succeeding on your own. No help, no shortcuts, just hard work and talent, and I couldn't handle it," Sophia finished. "Because Aunt Jade made it honestly while you were cutting corners and manipulating people." Dad stepped forward, looking older than I'd ever seen him. "I trusted you, son. With my money, with your sister's future. I'll pay it back," Brent said quickly. "The crypto market will recover." "Stop," I cut him off. "Just stop. For once in your life, own what you did." Silence fell again. The studio lights hummed overhead. Finally, Brent spoke, his voice small. "I was jealous. Of your success, your independence. Everything came so hard for me, but you made it look easy." "Easy?" I laughed bitterly. "I worked 18-hour days. I built my business client by client while catering your free events. Nothing about it was easy." "I know that now," he said. "I know a lot of things now." Mom stepped between us. "So what happens next?" I looked at my family, really looked at them. Mom's hopeful face, Dad's disappointed one, Sophia's proud smile, and Brent's broken facade. "Next," I said, "we rebuild. But differently this time. With truth, respect, and actual support, not manipulation disguised as family loyalty." "And the interview?" the host asked from the sidelines. I smiled. "I think we just gave you something better than the original story. How about we tell the truth, all of it, about family, forgiveness, and finally facing the real issues?" Brent looked up. "All of it?" "All of it," I confirmed. "It's time to stop pretending." The cameras rolled again, but this time we told the real story. Not just of one catering disaster, but of a family finally confronting years of hidden truths. The autumn breeze carried the scent of my newest creation, rosemary and fig tartlets, through the open windows of my expanded kitchen. My newly hired sous chef was plating appetizers while I reviewed the final details for tonight's event. The doorbell rang. I knew who it was before opening it. "I brought wine," Brent said, holding up a bottle. Not the expensive show-off kind he used to bring, but a modest local vintage I actually liked. "Come in. I'm just finishing up." He followed me to the kitchen, taking in the new equipment and expanded workspace that Dad's recovered investment had helped fund. "Big event tonight?" he asked, watching the staff work. "Just a small family gathering." I smiled. "About 60 people." "Ah." He fidgeted with the wine bottle. "Listen, I can pay—" "It's on the house," I said, "because I want to, not because you expect it." He nodded, understanding the difference now. My phone buzzed, a text from Sophia. "Got the tables set up at Uncle Brent's. The irony of having your housewarming redo at his place is chef's kiss." "Nervous?" I asked him. "Terrified," he admitted. "First time hosting since, you know." "The disaster that launched 1,000 TikToks?" He actually laughed. Something like that. The kitchen door swung open as Kent arrived with Mom and Dad. "Everything smells amazing, honey," Mom said, then hesitated. "Are you sure you want to cater this? After everything?" "Mom," I handed her a sample tartlet. "I'm not catering. I'm cooking for family. There's a difference." Dad examined the new industrial oven he'd helped finance. Business looks good. It is. That interview changed everything. Turns out people respect honesty more than perfect facades. Brent winced slightly. The interview had gone viral, our family's raw confrontation resonating even more than the original story. But it had also opened doors for healing, for change, for real conversations. Speaking of honesty, Brent pulled out an envelope. I got my first real investor meeting next week. A legitimate business plan this time. Would you look it over? I took the envelope. You're asking my opinion? Openly? In front of witnesses? I'm trying this new thing called respecting my sister's expertise. Well, I pretended to consider it. I do have some experience with successful business launches. And dealing with difficult family members, Kent added, dodging my playful swat. Vada burst through the door, waving her phone. You're trending again. What now? I groaned. Someone shared your story in a business leadership forum. You're being called the face of healthy boundaries in family businesses. Great, I sighed. More interviews? Actually, Dad spoke up, I was thinking of doing some interviews myself, about learning to treat your children equally, about really listening. Mom squeezed his hand. We both have a lot to share about that. The kitchen timer chimed. As I pulled out the last batch of appetizers, I caught Brent studying me. What? Just remembering that old letter, he said. I promised to help with culinary school, but you did it all on your own. Built something amazing. Not entirely on my own, I corrected, looking around at my family. I had support when I finally demanded it. Ready to head to my place? Brent asked. I promise the food will actually show up this time. Everyone laughed, the old tension dissolving into something lighter, more genuine. As we loaded the cars, Sophia pulled me aside. You know what's weird? Everything's better since it all fell apart. Like we needed to break to fix things properly. Sometimes you do, I agreed. Speaking of which, how's that culinary school application coming? She beamed. Sent it in yesterday. Think I could intern here while studying? Nepotism? I raised an eyebrow. No, she said firmly. I want to earn it, like you did. At Brent's house, guests were already arriving. Real friends this time, not just business connections. The tables Sophia had set looked beautiful, laden with food made with love rather than obligation. Brent clinked his glass for attention. Before everyone starts eating, I want to say something. He turned to me. Thank you, sis. Not for the food, though it looks amazing, but for having the courage to break our toxic patterns, for showing me what real success looks like. And real family, Mom added. I looked around at my expanded kitchen staff serving alongside my actual family, at the genuine smiles replacing forced ones, at the boundaries now marked with respect instead of resentment. To new beginnings, I raised my glass. And to family, the kind we choose to be, not the kind we pretend to be. The glasses clinked, the food was shared, and for the first time in forever, every smile in the room was real, including mine. This time, when family came first, it came first for all of us.
I still remember the exact moment my world shattered. It wasn't when I discovered the truth. That came later. No, it was on a Tuesday evening in March, when my parents sat me down at our kitchen table, their faces grave. My name is Michelle, and I was 19 when my family stole my future. Honey, Mum said, reaching for my hand, we need to talk about Violet. Her perfectly manicured nails dug slightly into my skin. The doctors found something. I glanced toward the stairs, where my sister's bedroom door remained closed. She'd been feeling under the weather lately, but I'd assumed it was just typical teenage drama. What do you mean? Found something? Dad cleared his throat, his usual confident demeanor cracking. It's complicated, a rare condition. The specialists say she needs surgery, and soon. Surgery? My voice cracked. But she was fine last week. We went shopping together. These things can progress quickly, Mum said, her voice trembling. The problem is, insurance won't cover experimental procedures. I knew where this was heading before they said it. My college fund, nearly $80,000 saved since I was a baby. My ticket to NYU in the fall. How much? I whispered. All of it, Dad said quietly. And maybe more. The kitchen seemed to spin. I'd worked so hard, straight A's, extracurriculars, 3 part-time jobs. My acceptance letter was still pinned to the bulletin board. Can't we get a loan? I asked. Or maybe... We've explored every option, Mum cut in. Your father's business is still recovering from COVID. Our credit is maxed. This is the only way. I stood up, my chair scraping against the tile. I need to see her. She's resting, Mum said quickly. The medications make her drowsy. Besides, we haven't told her how serious it is. You know how sensitive she can be. That was Violet, always the delicate one. The pretty one, the one who needed protecting. When? I managed to ask. The specialist has an opening next month, Dad said. We'll need to transfer the funds by Friday. 3 days. My entire future gone in 3 days. I spent that night sitting on my bed, staring at my NYU acceptance letter. Around 3 a.m, I heard soft footsteps in the hallway. Violet's door opened and closed. The next morning, I walked into the bank. The teller's eyes widened when I requested the transfer. Are you sure about this? She asked. That's your entire college fund. My sister needs it more than I do, I said, the words tasting like ash. That afternoon, I called NYU to defer my acceptance. Then I picked up extra shifts at the coffee shop, started tutoring on weekends, and took a night job at the grocery store. Every dollar counted now. Weeks passed. Violet stayed home from school, supposedly recovering. Mum brought her soup and magazines. I caught glimpses of her between my shifts. Pale, quiet, wrapped in blankets on the couch. You're such a good sister, Mum would say, kissing my forehead when I handed over my paychecks. God will reward you for this sacrifice. I believed her. I believed all of it. Every time I felt sorry for myself, I'd remember that at least I was healthy. At least I could work. At least my sister would live. 3 months later, I was scrolling through Instagram during my coffee shop break when I saw it. My thumb stopped mid-scroll, my coffee cup frozen halfway to my lips. There was Violet, sun-kissed and glowing, lounging by a resort pool. The caption read, "Feeling refreshed after a spa day, all thanks to Mummy's fund. Our blessed hoha spa day, quas living my best life." The post was dated 2 days ago. I stared at the photo, unblinking. Her skin wasn't pale, it was golden brown. Her hair wasn't limp from medication. It was styled in perfect beach waves. And around her wrist glittered a bracelet I recognised from the luxury store where we'd worked together last summer, the one she'd wanted but couldn't afford, the one that cost exactly what I made in 2 months of night shifts. "Michelle?" Sandra, my co-worker, touched my shoulder. "Your break ended 5 minutes ago. Are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." I looked up at her, my hands shaking. I think I just did. Because the sister I'd sacrificed everything for, the one who was too sick to leave her bed. She was living it up at a 5-star resort, spending my college fund one spa day at a time. And that was just the beginning. I spent the next 3 hours in a daze, nearly scalding myself twice while making lattes. When my shift ended, I sat in my car, hands trembling as I opened Instagram again. It had to be a mistake. Maybe an old photo. Maybe. But it wasn't. As I scrolled through Violet's feed, the truth unfolded like a horror movie. There she was at a rooftop bar 2 weeks ago, at a designer boutique last month, getting her hair done at an upscale salon when she was supposedly too weak to leave her bed. "Hey!" Sandra tapped on my window, making me jump. "You've been sitting here for 20 minutes. Come inside, we need to talk." I followed her back into the now-closed coffee shop. She pulled out 2 chairs and made us both hot chocolates. "Show me," she said simply. I handed her my phone. She scrolled silently, her expression darkening with each swipe. "Those bastards," she finally whispered. "Those absolute bastards." "I need to be sure," I said, my voice hollow. "Help me check everything?" For the next hour, we documented it all. Sandra pulled up bank statements on my phone while I cross-referenced dates on social media. Every withdrawal from my college fund matched a luxury purchase or vacation post within days. "Look at this," Sandra pointed. $3,000 withdrawn March 15th, same day as this post of her with a new Gucci bag. "The surgery was supposed to be in April," I said numbly. "April 12th. But here she is on April 13th, at Coachella." My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold my phone. "I've been working 3 jobs, sleeping 4 hours a night, living on ramen while they're..." "Breathe." Sandra squeezed my arm. "Just breathe." But I couldn't. 3 months of exhaustion and worry crashed over me. I called NYU and begged them to hold my spot. Told them my sister was dying. They probably think I'm a liar now. "No," Sandra's voice was steel. "Your family are the liars, and we're going to prove it." I went home that night with a plan. Act normal, gather evidence, figure out exactly how deep this betrayal went. Mom was in the kitchen when I walked in. "There's my hard-working girl. I made your favourite, chicken pot pie." The same voice that had tearfully told me about Violet's condition. The same hands that had held mine while explaining about the experimental treatment. "Thanks, Mom," I smiled, my heart pounding. "How's Violet doing?" "Oh, still struggling, poor thing. The medication makes her so tired." Through the living room window, I could see Violet in the backyard, doing yoga poses for her TikTok. "Must be hard," I said carefully. "Has the doctor said anything new?" "Just that we need to be patient. These treatments take time." She patted my cheek. "We're so blessed to have you, sweetheart. Your sacrifice means everything." I wanted to scream. Instead, I nodded and went upstairs. My laptop was still open to my banking app. I started downloading statements, screenshots, anything I could find. A message popped up from Wyatt, my old friend from high school who now studied computer science. "Hey, stranger, long time no see. How's life?" I stared at the message for a long moment. Wyatt had always been good with computers. Really good. "Can you help me with something?" I typed back. "It's important and private." "For you? Anything?" I sent him Violet's Instagram handle. "I need to see her private accounts too, the ones she thinks nobody can find." "Give me an hour." While I waited, I created a new email account and started forwarding everything there. Bank statements, screenshots, photos, the acceptance letter I'd had to defer. Wyatt messaged back with a link. "Found her Finsta. You might want to sit down for this." The private account was worse. Much worse. Videos of Violet and her friends laughing about crazy Michelle working herself to death. Photos of shopping sprees captioned, "Sorry sis, your future paid for this." Even a post about the family emergency fund with a winking emoji. My phone buzzed. A text from Mum. "Don't forget to bring your tip money home tomorrow. Every little bit helps with Violet's treatment." I walked to my mirror and practiced my smile. Practiced looking concerned when they talked about Violet's condition. Practiced being the perfect, dutiful daughter. But inside, something had shifted. The grief was gone, replaced by an icy clarity. They thought they'd gotten away with it. Thought I was too trusting, too loving, too weak to ever discover the truth. They were wrong. I picked up my phone and texted Sandra. I need to show you something tomorrow. All of it. Then I texted Wyatt. How good are you at following money trails? The game was on. And this time, I was making the rules. Holy shit, Wyatt whispered, his eyes glued to his laptop screen. This goes way deeper than your college fund. We were sitting in the back corner of the library, where Sandra had joined us during her lunch break. For the past hour, Wyatt had been digging through financial records while I forwarded him everything I'd found. What do you mean, deeper? Sandra leaned in. Your mum's charity work. Wyatt turned the screen toward me. The McBride Family Foundation? It's basically a slush fund. Look at these transactions. My eyes scanned the numbers. Large donations coming in, smaller amounts constantly being siphoned out to personal accounts. That's tax fraud, Sandra said quietly. And embezzlement. Gets better. Wyatt clicked through more documents. Remember that fundraiser they did for children's cancer last year? The one that raised like $200,000. I nodded. Mum had been all over local news, talking about giving back to the community. Only about $40,000 actually made it to the hospital. The rest... He pulled up more records. Designer clothes, first-class flights, that vacation house they won in a raffle. Yeah, bought with charity money. My phone buzzed. A text from Violet. Where are you? Mum needs your tips from last night. Tell her you deposited them directly to the medical account, Sandra suggested, her voice dripping with sarcasm. I texted back exactly that. Violet responded with a thumbs-up emoji. Look at this. Wyatt had pulled up a video from Violet's private account. My sister's face filled the screen, her expression annoyed. God, Michelle is so stupid, she was saying to someone off camera. Like, who actually believes someone needs 3 months of experimental treatment without ever going to a hospital? But hey, her loss is my gain. New car fund, am I right? The video ended with her laughing. My hands clenched into fists. When was this posted? 2 weeks ago, Wyatt said softly. I'm sorry, Michelle. Sandra put her arm around me. We've got enough to destroy them. We could go to the police right now. No, I said, surprising myself with how calm I sounded. Not yet. I want them to feel what I felt. The slow realization that everything they built is crumbling. What's your plan? Wyatt asked before I could answer. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my Aunt Lisa. Hey, sweetie, just checking in. Your mum mentioned you decided to skip college this year to work on yourself. If you need someone to talk to about this phase you're going through. I showed the others the message. They told everyone you chose not to go to college. Sandra's voice rose in anger. That you're going through a phase? Of course they did, I said bitterly. Can't have people knowing they stole my future. Wyatt was still typing. Your dad's involved too. Found his signature on all the fund transfers. And, get this, he's been writing off your medical expenses on their taxes. A memory hit me. Dad hugging me the day I got my acceptance letter, telling me how proud he was. Now I wondered if he'd been calculating my fund's value even then. The charity ball, Sandra said suddenly. Your mum's hosting it next month, right? The big televised one? I nodded. The annual event was Mum's crown jewel. Hundreds of wealthy donors, local news coverage, politicians making appearances. That's where we do it, Sandra's eyes gleamed. That's where we show everyone exactly who they are. It would ruin them, I said slowly. Their reputation, their social standing, their business connections. They ruined you first, Wyatt reminded me, and they're still doing it to others through that fake charity. My phone buzzed one more time. Mum, dinner at 7. Making your favorite again. So proud of how hard you're working to help your sister. Something cold and certain settled in my chest. Wyatt, I need you to teach me everything about digital presentations. Sandra, I need records of every charity transaction you can find. What are you thinking? Sandra asked. Mum always says a picture is worth 1,000 words, I smiled. So let's show everyone some pictures, bank statements, videos, social media posts, all on the big screen at their precious charity ball. They'll try to stop you, Wyatt warned. No, they won't, I said, because I'm going to be the perfect daughter right up until I push play. Besides, Mum already asked me to help with the event setup. Sandra grinned. Talk about karma. I looked at my phone one last time, at Mum's message with its fake heart emoji. For months, they'd watched me work myself to exhaustion, cry myself to sleep, give up everything I'd dreamed of. Now it was my turn to watch them lose everything. Let's get to work, I said, opening my laptop. We've got a presentation to prepare. Perfect, Mum beamed as I helped her arrange centerpieces in the dining room. You have such an eye for detail, sweetie. Would you consider helping with the ball decorations too? Of course, I smiled, carefully positioning a rose. Whatever you need. It had been 2 weeks since discovering the truth, and I'd become an excellent actress. Every morning I kissed Mum's cheek. Every evening I asked about Violet's treatment. Every payday I handed over my earnings with a concerned sister's smile. The event planner needs an assistant, Mum continued, someone to help coordinate the audiovisual elements. Would you be interested? I nearly dropped the vase. This was better than anything I could have planned. I'd love to help, I said, keeping my voice steady. I'm pretty good with computers. Perfect. I'll tell Daphne you'll meet her tomorrow. Later that night, I met Wyatt at a 24-hour diner. He slid a USB drive across the table. It's all there, he said. Bank statements, social media posts, charity records, plus some interesting emails I found between your mum and dad about the medical emergency fund. I plugged the drive into my laptop. The presentation was flawless. Professional-looking slides transitioning smoothly between damning evidence. Photos of Violet partying with my college fund. Screenshots of Mum's private messages about misusing charity donations. Dad's signature on fraudulent documents. Think it's enough? I asked. Michelle, Wyatt leaned forward, it's going to destroy them. My phone buzzed. Sandra had sent a new document, something she'd found in the coffee shop's mail. Look at this, I showed Wyatt. Dad's company newsletter. They're announcing him as their new ethics committee chair. Wyatt snorted. The irony. Add it to the presentation, I said, right before his signature on the fraudulent transfers. The bell above the diner door chimed. I quickly closed my laptop as Violet walked in with her friends. She didn't notice me in our corner booth, too busy laughing about something on her phone. Speaking of your sister, Wyatt nodded toward their table. Isn't that the bracelet you mentioned? The one that cost 2 months of your night shifts? I watched as Violet gestured animatedly, the bracelet catching the fluorescent light. 2 months of stocking shelves until 3 a.m., all so she could have another shiny accessory. You okay? Wyatt asked softly. I'm fine, I said, and surprisingly, I was. Just thinking about karma. The next morning, I met Daphne, the event planner at the venue. She was exactly as Mum had described. Efficient, detail-oriented, and completely focused on creating the perfect event. The presentation needs to be flawless, she explained, showing me the equipment. We'll have the mayor, 3 state representatives, and dozens of major donors in attendance. I'll make sure everything runs smoothly, I promised, noting the exact model of the projector system. Your mother speaks so highly of you, Daphne smiled. Says you've been such a help with your sister's medical issues. My hand tightened on the USB drive in my pocket. Family is everything. That evening, Dad called a family meeting. He was practically glowing with pride. "The company's giving me a bonus," he announced, "for outstanding ethical leadership. We should celebrate." Mum clapped her hands. "Violet, darling, why don't you and I go shopping tomorrow? You deserve something special for being so brave through your treatment." I watched them, these people who shared my blood, but not my conscience. Mum planning to spend more stolen money. Dad accepting praise for ethics while committing fraud. Violet, who would get yet another reward for her lies. "Michelle?" Mum turned to me. "Would you like to come shopping with us?" "Can't," I said, forcing regret into my voice. "I promised Daphne I'd help test the audiovisual system tomorrow." "Such a responsible girl," Mum sighed happily. "We're so blessed to have you." Later, in my room, I received a text from Sandra. "Found something big. Can you come by the shop?" I drove to the coffee shop, where Sandra was waiting with a stack of papers. "Your dad didn't just know about the college fund," she said, spreading out documents. "He actively planned it. Look at these emails from January, months before they told you about Violet's condition. He was already arranging to transfer your money." I stared at the emails, at my father's casual discussion of stealing my future. "Still want to go through with the presentation?" Sandra asked quietly. I thought of Dad's proud announcement, of Mum's shopping plans, of Violet's endless rewards for lying. "More than ever," I said, pulling out my phone to text Daphne. "Time to test the equipment." The charity ball was in 3 days, and I was ready to give them a celebration they'd never forget. "Testing, 1, 2, I spoke into the microphone, watching the audio levels rise on the control panel. The grand ballroom was empty except for me and Jake, the AV technician. "Levels look good," Jake said, adjusting some settings. "Want to run through the presentation?" "Actually," I pulled out 2 USB drives. "I have separate presentations for the rehearsal and the main event. Mum's really particular about surprises." Jake nodded, unsuspecting. "Smart. Keeps people from getting bored at the rehearsal." I handed him the decoy drive, a perfectly bland slideshow about the charity's supposed achievements. The real one stayed safely in my pocket, waiting for its moment. My phone buzzed. Wyatt. "Final version uploaded to cloud backup, just in case." "Everything okay?" Jake asked. "Perfect," I smiled. "Just confirming some details with the event team." The ballroom doors opened, and Mum swept in with Daphne, both carrying clipboards. "Michelle, darling," Mum called out. "How's the technical setup going?" "Smoothly," I gestured to the equipment. "Jake's been really helpful." "Wonderful," Mum turned to Daphne. "See? I told you my daughter was reliable, unlike that last assistant you had." While they chatted, I noticed Violet sneaking in through the side door, trying to hide something behind her back. "Mum," she called out, "look what just arrived." She pulled out a gleaming diamond bracelet, easily worth thousands. My stomach turned as I recognized the designer brand. "Just a little thank you for being so brave." Mum hugged her. "We'll say it's from the Foundation's Appreciation Fund." I pretended to adjust some cables while secretly recording their conversation on my phone. Another piece of evidence for the presentation. "Michelle?" Daphne approached. "Could you help me with something? The seating chart needs updating." I spent the next hour moving names around on a tablet, making sure I had a clear path to the stage for the big moment. Mom and Violet had left to get their final dress fittings, leaving me to handle the boring details. My phone buzzed again. "Sandra, you need to see this, now." "Taking my lunch break," I told Daphne, hurrying out to the parking lot where Sandra was waiting in her car. "Look what I found in the shop's mail." She thrust a letter at me. It was addressed to my dad from the state medical board. "What is it?" "They're investigating him." Sandra's eyes were wide. "Apparently, someone reported suspicious insurance claims about Violet's treatment. They're asking for documentation of her condition. I stared at the letter. When did this arrive? This morning. Your dad must not know yet. Back inside, I found Mom and Violet had returned. They were arguing about something in hushed voices. The medical board? Violet hissed. What if they... Your father will handle it, Mom cut her off, spotting me. Michelle, perfect timing. We need your opinion on the lighting cues. I watched them pretend everything was normal, wondering if they realized their house of cards was already starting to wobble. That evening, I recorded my video introduction for the presentation. Simple, direct, devastating. My name is Michelle, I spoke clearly into the camera. And this is the story of how my family stole my future. Wyatt helped me edit it to perfection. You sure about this? He asked. Once you push play, there's no going back. They didn't give me a choice about my future, I said. Now, I'm not giving them a choice about theirs. The next morning, during the final rehearsal, I overheard Mom on the phone. Of course, the Foundation's books are in order, she was saying. We have nothing to hide. Yes, I understand an audit is routine. No, those transfers were all legitimate medical expenses. She hung up, looking worried for the first time I could remember. Good, I thought. Let her worry. Michelle, she called out, is everything ready for tomorrow? I thought of the real USB drive in my pocket, of the backup copies Wyatt had secured, of the evidence Sandra had gathered, of the truth waiting to explode. Everything's perfect, Mom, I smiled. The presentation will be unforgettable. She hugged me, her expensive perfume filling my nose. What would we do without you? I hugged her back, remembering all the times this embrace had meant safety and love. Now it felt like holding a stranger. I've been thinking, she said, pulling back. After the ball, we should look into some community college courses for you. Nothing expensive, of course, just something to keep you busy. That's thoughtful of you, Mum, I said, my voice steady. But I have other plans for my future now. She had no idea how true that was. In less than 24 hours, everyone would know exactly what kind of future my family had stolen, and exactly what kind of justice I had planned. The morning of the charity ball, I found myself staring at an old family photo on my dresser. We were at the beach, Mom, Dad, Violet, and me, all genuinely smiling. I was 12, Violet 10. Before the lies, before everything. My phone buzzed. Sandra, you ready for this? Before I could respond, Violet barged into my room. Have you seen my diamond earrings? She demanded, then noticed the photo in my hands. Oh God, burn that. My hair was tragic. I set the photo down. Shouldn't you be resting, for your condition? Something flickered in her eyes. About that. She closed my door. Listen, I know you know. My heart stopped, but I kept my face neutral. Know what? Don't play dumb, Michelle. I saw you with that tech guy yesterday, and I heard you talking to Sandra at the coffee shop. She sat on my bed. But you don't understand. Enlighten me. Mum and Dad, they always loved you more. The smart one, the responsible one, perfect Michelle, with her perfect grades and perfect future. Her voice turned bitter. This was my chance to be the special one for once. I stared at her, incredulous. So you stole my college fund because you were jealous? You don't need college, she waved dismissively. You're already so good at, working and stuff. Besides, it's done now. Don't ruin this for everyone. Ruin what? The ball. Mum's big night. Our reputation. She leaned forward. If you say anything, we all go down, including you. What will people think when they learn you were too stupid to realize your own sister wasn't sick? My phone buzzed again. Wyatt. Final tech check in 2 hours. You coming? I have to get ready, I told Violet, standing up. Just remember, she paused at the door, You really going to cry about old money? Get over it. The moment she left, I texted Sandra. It's definitely happening, no doubts now. At the venue, I found Wyatt already checking the equipment. Small problem, he said. They brought in a backup tech guy. Some last-minute addition. My stomach dropped. What about Jake? Called in sick. This new guy's changing all the settings. I watched the unfamiliar technician, rewiring connections we'd carefully planned. Everything we'd prepared, all our precise timing. Can you fix it? I whispered. Wyatt cracked his knuckles. Give me an hour, and maybe create a distraction. I found Mom in the lobby, directing flower arrangements. The lighting seems off in the ballroom, I said casually. Maybe someone should check the breaker box? Oh dear, she frowned. Could you show the new technician where it is? It's down in the basement. Perfect. I led him downstairs, pretending to search for the right switch. Must be the other room, I kept saying, leading him further into the maze-like basement. By the time we found the right breaker box, Wyatt texted, Done. Original settings restored. New backup copies hidden in the system. The ball was starting in 3 hours. Guests would arrive in 2. I headed to the dressing room where Mum and Violet were getting ready. Zip me up, Violet commanded, admiring herself in the mirror. She was wearing a designer dress that probably cost more than 3 months of my salary. Mom was practicing her speech. And as a family, we believe in giving back. I wanted to laugh at the irony. My phone buzzed. Sandra. In position at the back entrance. Press contact standing by. Then Wyatt. Presentation loaded. Both drives tested. Backup plan ready. Michelle, Mom called. Come here, darling. Let me fix your hair. She stood behind me at the mirror, just like when I was little. Her fingers gently smoothed my hair as she hummed. You know I love you, right? She said softly. For a moment, just a moment, I wavered. Then I remembered the medical board letter, the fake hospital bills, my empty college fund. I know, Mum. I smiled at her reflection. I love you too. And I did. That was the worst part. I loved them all, even now. But love wasn't enough to erase what they'd done. My phone buzzed one final time. Daphne. Sound check in 15 minutes. Bring the final presentation. I touched the USB drive in my pocket. In less than 3 hours, everything would change. My family would never forgive me. Our name would become synonymous with scandal. The perfect facade they'd built would shatter. But maybe, just maybe, the truth would set us all free. Coming, I called out, giving Mum one last hug before heading to the ballroom. It was time. The ballroom glittered with chandeliers and success. Wealthy donors in designer clothes mingled over champagne, while local news cameras captured every perfect moment. Mum worked the room like a professional, her laugh tinkling like expensive crystal. And now, Daphne announced from the podium, please welcome our host, the remarkable Louisa. Mum ascended the stage to enthusiastic applause. Thank you all for coming tonight. As many of you know, our family believes deeply in giving back. I stood near the AV controls, watching Wyatt give me the subtle thumbs up. Everything was ready. And speaking of family, Mum continued, I'd like to recognise my youngest daughter Violet, who has shown such courage this year through her medical challenges. Violet stood, dabbing fake tears with a monogrammed handkerchief. The crowd murmured sympathetically. And my eldest, Michelle, Mum gestured to me, who has demonstrated the true meaning of sacrifice and family loyalty. The audience applauded. Sandra, standing by the back door, caught my eye and nodded. The reporter she'd contacted was in position. Now, Mum smiled, I'd like to invite Michelle to say a few words about our foundation's mission. This was it. I walked to the podium, my USB drive already in hand. Mum hugged me as we passed, whispering, Keep it brief, darling. I faced the crowd, seeing Dad in the front row looking proud, Violet scrolling on her phone, Mum beaming from her seat. "Thank you," I said into the microphone. "Instead of a speech, I've prepared a short presentation about what family really means to us." Before anyone could react, I inserted the drive. The screen behind me flickered to life with my recorded introduction. "My name is Michelle, and this is the story of how my family stole my future." Mom's smile froze. Dad sat up straight. Violet's phone dropped to the floor. The evidence began rolling. Bank statements showing my college fund transfers. Social media posts of Violet partying with time-stamped proof. Mum's emails about misappropriating charity funds. Dad's fraudulent insurance claims. "Stop the presentation," Mum hissed, but Wyatt had locked the controls. The screen showed Violet's video. God, Michelle is so stupid. Like, who actually believes someone needs 3 months of experimental treatment? Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone's wine glass shattered. Next came the charity records, hundreds of thousands in donations, redirected to personal accounts. Photos of luxury purchases tagged with foundation money. Dad's ethics committee appointment juxtaposed with his signature on fraudulent documents. "This is ridiculous," Mum grabbed the microphone. "These are obviously fake." "The medical board letter," I cut in, my voice steady. "Did you tell everyone about that, Mum? About the investigation into your fraudulent claims?" The mayor stood up and quietly walked out. Others began following. "How dare you!" Violet screamed, mascara running. "After everything we've done for you." "Everything you've done?" I laughed. "You mean stealing my college fund, watching me work 3 jobs while you spent my money on bracelets?" "Michelle," Dad approached the stage, "let's discuss this privately." "Like you discussed stealing my future privately?" I projected his emails onto the screen. "The ones where you planned this months in advance." Daphne had backed away from the podium, horror on her face. "The foundation. All those children's charities. We're funding their vacations," I confirmed. "Every dollar documented right here." Camera flashes erupted as the reporter Sandra contacted started taking pictures. Mum lunged for the USB drive, but it was too late. Wyatt had already uploaded everything to the cloud and sent copies to local news stations. "You ungrateful little..." Mum raised her hand, but Sandra had appeared beside me. "Touch her," Sandra said coldly, "and assault charges will be the least of your problems." Security was moving through the crowd now. Not toward me, toward my parents. Someone had called the police. "The foundation's under investigation," I announced to the remaining guests, "along with their insurance fraud, tax evasion, and theft. I've provided evidence to the relevant authorities." "We're your family," Violet sobbed. "How could you do this to us?" I looked at her. Really looked at her. My little sister, who I'd loved enough to sacrifice everything for, who had laughed while watching me destroy myself to save her imaginary life. "Family doesn't steal from family," I said simply. Sirens wailed outside. Mum had collapsed into a chair, her perfect makeup streaked with tears. Dad stood frozen, watching his carefully constructed world crumble. Violet was frantically deleting social media posts, but screenshots preserved everything. "Miss," a police officer approached the podium. "We'll need statements from everyone involved." I nodded, stepping down from the stage. Sandra hugged me. Wyatt squeezed my shoulder. Through the grand windows, I could see camera crews arriving, their lights illuminating the night like justice itself. "Michelle," Mum called out desperately as officers approached her. "Please." But I was already walking away, leaving them to face the consequences of their choices, just like they'd left me to face mine. The morning sun streamed through Sandra's guest room window as I scrolled through the news headlines on my phone. Local charity scandal rocks community. Family foundation under federal investigation. College fund theft leads to larger fraud discovery. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing since last night. Texts from relatives poured in, some supportive, others angry, most just shocked. Aunt Lisa's message stood out. "I'm so sorry I believed them about you choosing not to attend college. We should have asked you directly." A knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. Sandra entered with coffee and her laptop. "Your story's gone viral," she said, sitting beside me. "People are calling you a hero for exposing charity fraud. The district attorney's office wants to talk to you about pressing charges." "Any word from them?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "Your mum's been released on bail. Your dad's still being processed. Violet's, well..." She turned her laptop toward me. My sister had posted a tearful video. My side of the story. The comments were brutal, calling her out for every lie, every manipulative tactic. "NYU called," Sandra continued, her voice brightening. "They want to reinstate your acceptance. Someone started a GoFundMe for your tuition. It's already past $50,000. I set my phone down. "I don't want their money." "It's not their money. It's people who believe in justice, who want you to have the future that was stolen from you." My phone buzzed again. "Wyatt. Coming over. Big news." He arrived 20 minutes later, practically bouncing with energy. "Remember those charity records we found?" he said, pulling out his tablet. "The FBI is investigating 5 other foundations your mum worked with. This could be huge." "That's not all," Sandra added. "The coffee shop owner heard your story. She wants to create a scholarship fund for employees and name it after you." I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt hollow. "Michelle?" Sandra touched my arm. "Talk to us." I struggled to find the words. I thought exposing them would feel better, more complete. "Because they're still your family?" Wyatt asked quietly. Before I could answer, someone knocked at the front door. Sandra checked the security camera and frowned. "It's Violet." My sister stood on the porch, makeup free, wearing plain clothes I'd never seen before. She looked younger somehow, more like the girl from that beach photo. 5 minutes, I told Sandra. That's all I'll give her. Violet didn't try to hug me or make excuses. She simply held out an envelope. "What's this?" "My confession," she said. "I wrote down everything. When they planned it, how they convinced me to play along, all of it. I'm giving copies to the police and the medical board." I stared at her. "Why?" "Because you were right about all of it." She wrapped her arms around herself. "I kept telling myself it was just money, that you'd get over it. But watching you work those jobs, seeing you cry yourself to sleep, I knew it was wrong. I just didn't want to lose being the special one. And now I don't want to be like them anymore." She turned to leave, then stopped. "I left your bracelet in the envelope too, the one you worked night shifts to pay for. I'm sorry, Michelle. I really am." After she left, I opened the envelope. Her confession was detailed, damning, enough to ensure our parents couldn't twist the narrative. The bracelet lay wrapped in tissue paper, still sparkling. "You okay?" Sandra asked. I nodded, surprising myself by meaning it. I think this is what closure feels like." My phone lit up with a new message. From Mom. "We can still fix this as a family. Please don't throw everything away." I showed Sandra and Wyatt the message. They waited for my response. Instead of replying, I picked up my laptop and opened the NYU acceptance portal. The dean's message welcomed me back, offering a fresh start. "Need help apartment hunting in New York?" Wyatt asked. "Actually," I smiled, "I think I'll take that scholarship money, but not for NYU." I pulled up another acceptance letter. One I'd received last week from the State University's journalism program, Someone needs to keep exposing the truth, I said. Might as well be me. Sandra hugged me. Wyatt grinned. My phone kept buzzing with messages I'd never answer. The bracelet caught the morning light, and I knew exactly what to do with it. The coffee shop's scholarship fund could use a starting donation. They'd taken my trust fund, my college dreams, my belief in family. But they'd given me something too, the strength to stand up, speak out, and build a different kind of future. One where truth matters more than appearances, and justice means more than blood. That was worth more than any fund they could have stolen.
I've spent 28 years being the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who shows up. Tonight, as I watch my younger sister flash her engagement ring across our parents' dinner table, I realise I'm also the invisible one. My name is Madeline, and I'm so tired of being good. It's 3 carats, Peyton squeals, nearly knocking over her wine glass. Riker said he had to have the absolute best for his princess. Mum practically levitates from her chair to hug her. Oh, sweetie, it's perfect. Brian, look at how it catches the light. I take another bite of lasagna, focusing on the burn of too hot cheese rather than the familiar ache in my chest. Dad barely glances up from his phone, offering a grunt of approval that satisfies them both completely. We're thinking a destination wedding, Peyton continues. Maybe the Maldives? Matty, you'll help with the planning, right? You're so good with organising things. Translation, you'll do all the work while I take the credit. Of course, I say, because that's what the responsible one does. Just like I show up every day to my soul-crushing job at Midwest Insurance, processing claims until my eyes blur. Just like I've been paying half the mortgage on this house since I was 23, though they don't know that part. They also don't know about my online business that grossed 7 figures last year. The one that keeps this family afloat, while they praise Peyton's part-time yoga instructor gig as following her dreams. Mum clears her throat. Speaking of the house, your father and I have some exciting news. I freeze mid-bite. The tone in her voice, I know that tone, is the same one she used when announcing they'd borrowed my college fund for Peyton's Sweet 16. We've decided to sell, Dad says, finally looking up. The market's hot right now, and with Peyton getting married, we want to give them a proper start, Mum finishes. Help with the down payment on their dream home. The lasagna turns to ash in my mouth. What about my rent? I've been paying to live here for years. Oh, honey, Mum waves her hand dismissively. You're so capable. You'll figure something out, actually. She reaches into her purse and pulls out a glossy pamphlet. I picked this up for you. It's those new apartments over by the highway. Very affordable. Peyton peers at the pamphlet. Aren't those the ones with the roach problem? They've been renovated, Mum says quickly. Besides, Maddie doesn't need anything fancy. She's always been so practical. I stare at the pamphlet. The complex's sign promises luxury living, starting at $699, above a photo of a building that looks like it's one health inspection away from condemnation. When? I manage to ask. We've already talked to a realtor, Dad says. She thinks we can list next week. The market's moving fast, could be sold within the month. A month? My voice sounds distant even to me. You're giving me a month's notice. Don't be dramatic, Maddie. Peyton rolls her eyes. It's not like you have furniture or anything. Your room's basically a glorified storage space. Because I sold everything I owned 3 years ago to help pay for your emergency appendectomy, little sister. The one you got in Cabo during a spring break trip I wasn't invited to. Mum slides the pamphlet closer to me. Just think about it, sweetie. Change can be good. And you've always been so strong, so independent. I pick up the pamphlet. The paper is slick between my fingers, like the scales of a snake. 28 years of being the responsible one, the reliable one, the strong one. 28 years of watching them drain me dry while filling Peyton's cup to overflowing. You're right, I say, tucking the pamphlet into my bag. Change can be good. They beam at me, satisfied with my compliance. They don't notice my white-knuckled grip on my fork, or the way my smile doesn't quite reach my eyes. They never notice. Now, Peyton claps her hands. About the engagement party. I'm thinking we'll need at least $50,000 to do it properly. Maddie, you're good with budgets. How should we divide that up? I look at my sister's sparkling ring, at Mum's expectant smile, at Dad's return to his phone. They have no idea that I own this house through a holding company. No idea that their perfect plan is about to hit a very solid, very legal wall. Don't worry, I say, standing to clear the plates. I'll take care of everything. And for the first time in 28 years, I mean it in a way they never saw coming. Gleam River Holdings remains the sole owner of the property, Ross says, sliding the documents across his mahogany desk. Your parents can't sell what isn't legally theirs. I trace my finger over the mortgage papers, remembering the night 3 years ago when I saved our house. Mum and Dad had gambled everything on another of Peyton's business ventures. This time, an organic juice bar that lasted exactly 2 months. The foreclosure notice arrived on a Tuesday. By Friday, I had transferred every penny from my online business into a holding company and bought the mortgage outright. They have no idea, do they? Ross asks, adjusting his wire-rimmed glasses. That their responsible daughter runs a 7-figure artisanal home goods empire? That I've been their secret landlord for 3 years? I laugh. They still think I process insurance claims for a living. And now they want to sell your house to fund your sister's wedding. He shakes his head. The irony would be delicious if it weren't so tragic. My phone buzzes. It's Reagan. Found something interesting about Prince Charming. Call me ASAP. I need to take this, I tell Ross. But first, they can't move forward with the sale, right? Not without Gleam River's approval, which means not without yours. He pauses. The question is, what do you want to do with that power? I step into the hallway and call Reagan. Girl, you're not going to believe this, she says without preamble. I ran a background check on Riker. 3 bankruptcies in 5 years, 2 failed pyramid schemes. And get this, he's currently being investigated for investment fraud. My hand tightens on the phone. Does Peyton know? Please. Your sister wouldn't recognise a red flag if it was wrapped around her neck like a scarf. Reagan pauses. What are you thinking? I lean against the wall, watching people hurry past in the office corridor. I'm thinking it's time to stop being invisible. Maddie. Reagan's voice softens. Are you sure? Revenge might feel good in the moment, but this isn't about revenge. I cut her off. It's about consequences. They've never faced any. Not when they took my college fund, not when they drained my savings, not when they... I stop, breathing hard. Tell me what you need. I need you to dig deeper into Riker's finances. And I need to know exactly how much Peyton's been spending on this wedding. Already on it. But Maddie... Just be careful. Even justified revenge has a price. I end the call and return to Ross's office. He's still reviewing the papers, but looks up when I enter. I've made a decision, I say. About the house? About everything. I sit down, spine straight. I want to file an interference order on any potential sale, and I want to start the process of eviction, giving them the legal minimum notice period, of course. Ross raises an eyebrow. That's decisive. They gave me a month's notice and a pamphlet for roach-infested apartments. I pull out my phone, showing him the listing I'd found. They're already showing the house, my house, without even telling me. Technically legal, since they believe they're the owners. He starts typing on his computer. But incredibly unethical. When do you want to tell them? Not yet. I need to understand exactly what I'm dealing with first. I pause. How long can we delay any potential sale? Months if necessary, but... He looks at me carefully. Are you sure you want to play this game? Family conflicts can get ugly fast. I think about the pamphlet in my bag. About 28 years of being used. About Peyton's entitled smile and Mom's dismissive wave. They made it ugly the moment they decided I was nothing but their safety net. Ross nods slowly. I'll prepare the paperwork. But Madeline, whatever you're planning, make it count. Because you only get one shot at this kind of revelation. My phone buzzes again. A text from Mum. Peyton needs help with wedding budget spreadsheets. Come over tonight. Don't be selfish. I show Ross the message. His expression hardens. Make it count, he repeats. I stand, gathering my things. Oh, I will. They want to sell my house to fund a wedding for my sister and her fraudster fiancé. I smile, and for once, I don't try to make it look kind. Let's see how that works out for them. As I leave the office, another text comes through. This time from Reagan. Found the wedding vendor contracts. You're not going to believe where your sister's been getting the money for deposits. I step into the elevator, watching the numbers descend. 28 years of being the responsible one, of being reliable, of showing up. Time to show them exactly who they've been taking for granted. Please, Maddie, it's just until after the honeymoon. Peyton's voice drips with the sugary sweetness she reserves for asking favours. The loan's basically a formality. We're sitting in her favourite coffee shop, the kind that charges $8 for a latte and doesn't list prices on the menu. She's already ordered both our drinks, my plain black coffee, a stark contrast to her elaborate iced concoction. How much? I ask, though I already know. Reagan's research was thorough. Only 50,000. She stirs her drink with practiced nonchalance. The ceremony venue alone is 35. And then there's the flowers, the dress. I take a slow sip of coffee. That's a lot of money to co-sign for. Don't be such a worrier. Riker's investments are about to pay off huge. He just needs a little more time. She leans forward, eyes wide. You know I'm good for it. Remember when you helped with my juice bar? Yes, I remember. I remember exactly how that ended. Have Mom and Dad offered to co-sign? Peyton's face clouds. Their credit isn't great right now. But once they sell the house, she brightens. Actually, that's perfect timing. The closing date is in 3 weeks. I nearly choke on my coffee. 3 weeks? I know, isn't it amazing? Some investor made an all-cash offer. Mum's thrilled. She pulls out her phone, showing me the listing. Look, they're already marking it as sale pending. My hands shake as I take the phone. There it is, my house. Listed at well below market value, with professional photos I never noticed being taken. The description promises immediate occupancy. When were they planning to tell me about the closing date? Peyton shrugs. Mom said she gave you that apartment pamphlet. What's the big deal? It's not like you've done anything with your room anyway. I hand back her phone, my mind racing. 3 weeks. They really think they can sell my house in 3 weeks. So, about the loan, Peyton prods. The venue needs the deposit by Friday. Can I see the wedding budget? I ask. Just so I know what I'm getting into. She hesitates for a fraction of a second before pulling up a spreadsheet. Riker helped me organise it, see? Everything's under control. I scan the numbers, my jaw clenching. The venue deposit. The 5-figure flower arrangement. The designer dress. And there, buried in the payment records, transactions from an account I recognise. My account. Peyton. I keep my voice steady. Where did the money for these deposits come from? Oh, you know. She waves her hand vaguely. Mom helped with some of it, and I had that emergency credit card you gave me. The one for medical emergencies. The one linked to my personal account. My phone buzzes. A text from Mum. Coming by tonight to pack up your room. Anything you want, take it now. Donating the rest. Maddie? Peyton's voice cuts through my fury. About the loan? I really need an answer today. I look at my sister. Really look at her. The entitled tilt of her chin, the expectant gleam in her eyes, the absolute certainty that I'll cave like I always do. I'll think about it, I say, standing up. But first, I need to make a call. I step outside and dial Ross. File the interference order, I say without preamble. Now. Already done, he replies. The sale won't go through, but Madeline, there's something else you should know. I looked into the buyer. It's a shell company linked to Riker. The pieces click into place. The rushed sale, the below market price, the immediate closing. He's trying to flip it, I say. Buy low, sell high. With your parents' blessing, apparently. The listing agent told me they specifically requested a quick, quiet sale. I end the call and walk back inside. Peyton's ordering another drink, probably on my emergency card. Hey sis, I say, sitting down. Tell me more about Riker's investments. I want to make sure I understand exactly what I'm co-signing for. She launches into a practice speech about cryptocurrency and real estate opportunities, not noticing my expression, not seeing the storm building behind my smile. My phone buzzes again. This time it's Reagan. Got everything documented. Ready when you are. I watch Peyton talk, remembering every time she's taken without asking. Every time our parents enabled her. Every time I stayed quiet. You know what? I cut her off mid-sentence. You're right. Family should help family. Let's go to the bank right now. Her face lights up. Really? Oh, Maddie, you're the best. I know, I say, standing up. I'm the responsible one, remember? And for the first time, being responsible means something entirely different. What do you mean the venue's been cancelled? Peyton's screech echoes through the house. I put down the deposit last week. I look up from my laptop, where I'm casually browsing apartment listings I have no intention of considering. Mum paces the kitchen, phone pressed to her ear. No, this must be a mistake, she insists to whoever's on the line. We have a contract. What do you mean, payment reversed? I hide my smile behind my coffee mug. Amazing what a quick call to your credit card company about unauthorised charges can accomplish. Maddie, Peyton whirls on me, you have to help. Call the venue, make them understand. You're good at fixing things. Sorry, sis, I'm actually headed to the bank. I close my laptop. Going to see about that loan you wanted? Her face brightens instantly. Really? Oh, thank God. We can just book another venue. Maybe even something better. Of course, I say, grabbing my keys. That's what sisters are for. What I don't tell her is that I'm actually meeting Ross to sign the final interference order, or that I've spent the morning cancelling every vendor she booked using my emergency card. My phone rings as I reach my car. It's Riker. Your sister's hysterical, he says without greeting. Fix this. Fix what exactly? Don't play dumb. The venue, the flowers, the caterer, they're all backing out. Peyton says you're the only one who can sort this out. Funny how that works, I say, starting the engine. Being the responsible one and all. Listen, his voice drops lower. I don't know what game you're playing, but... No, you listen, I cut him off. I know about the bankruptcies, the fraud investigations, the shell company trying to buy my parents' house. Well, not their house, my house. Silence on the line. What are you talking about? Check your email. I sent you something interesting. I pull out of the driveway. Consider it an early wedding present. I hang up and drive to the craft store. There's one more piece to put in play. 2 hours later, I return home carrying a beautifully wrapped package. Inside is a handmade engagement scrapbook, the kind Peyton loves to post on Instagram. And hidden between its pages, printed copies of every document proving my ownership of the house. What's that? Mum asks as I walk in. Just a little something for the happy couple. I set it on the coffee table. Where is everyone? Your father's at work. Peyton's been crying in her room since the florist cancelled. She gives me an accusing look. I don't suppose you could help with that. Actually, I got a call from the bank. They need me to come in about the loan. I pause. Peyton asked me to bring Riker. Something about both our names being on the paperwork. Mum's face lights up. Oh, sweetie, I knew you'd come through. Let me call him right now. I wait until she leaves the room before sliding the scrapbook slightly closer to Riker's usual seat. The one he always takes when he comes for family dinner. My phone buzzes with texts. Riker. We need to talk. Now. Peyton. The photographer just cancelled too. Help. Mum. Riker's coming over. Thank you for being reasonable. Reagan. Everything's in place. You sure about this? I respond only to Reagan. Time to show them what the responsible one can really do. The front door opens. Riker storms in, waving his phone. What the hell is this? He demands, showing me his screen, displaying the property records for Gleam River Holdings. Inside voice, dear, I say sweetly. Wouldn't want to upset Peyton more than she already is. He glances toward the stairs, then lowers his voice. Is this some kind of joke? The joke, I step closer, is you thinking you could flip my house for a quick profit. The joke is my sister using my money for deposits she never intended to repay. The joke, I pick up the scrapbook, is all documented right here. You wouldn't dare. Try me. I hold out the book. Consider this your warning. Back out now, while you still have a shred of dignity. He snatches the book. You're bluffing. Am I? Check page 12. I particularly enjoyed including the investigator's report on your investment schemes. From upstairs, Peyton calls out, Riker, is that you? I smile. Better hurry up there. Your fiancé needs comforting. Seems like everything's falling apart. He glares at me, clutching the scrapbook. This isn't over. Oh, but it is. I head for the door. By the way, I'd skip family dinner tonight if I were you. Things might get a bit uncomfortable. I leave him standing there, knowing he'll open the book. Knowing Peyton will find it later. Knowing that by this time tomorrow, everything will change. The responsible one just lit the fuse. Now it's time to watch it burn. Let's talk about your financial history, Riker. I keep my voice low, measured. We're standing in the kitchen while the rest of the family argues about the cancelled vendors in the living room. Let's talk about how you're trying to destroy your sister's happiness instead. He steps closer, trying to use his height to intimidate me. What kind of person does that? The kind who's tired of being stolen from. I pull out my phone, showing him the credit card statements. 50,000 in wedding deposits, all from my emergency account. Care to explain? His jaw tightens. Peyton said you offered to help. Peyton says a lot of things. Just like you told her about all those successful investments. I swipe to another screen. 3 bankruptcies, Riker. And an ongoing fraud investigation. That's quite a resume. You don't know what you're talking about. I know you created a shell company to try buying this house below market value. I know you plan to flip it for profit. I meet his glare. What I don't know is whether Peyton's in on it or just another victim. He grabs my arm. Listen, you self-righteous Everything okay in here? We both turn. Dad stands in the doorway, frowning. Just fine, I say, pulling free. Riker and I were discussing investment strategies, weren't we? Riker forces a smile. Actually, Brian, I need to talk to you about the house sale. There might be a problem. Problem? Dad's frown deepens. What problem? Nothing I can't handle, I cut in smoothly. Why don't you go help Mum with the moving boxes? Once Dad leaves, Riker turns back to me. You think you're so clever, but you're just jealous. Peyton told me how you've always resented her success. I laugh. Success? You mean her failed juice bar? Her part-time yoga teaching? Or maybe you mean her talent for spending other people's money? At least she's not stuck in some dead-end insurance job. No, she's just engaged to a man who's about to lose everything. I head for the stairs. Check your email again. I sent you something interesting from the fraud investigator. I climb to my bedroom, or what's left of it. Mum's already packed most of my things into donation boxes. 28 years of memories deemed disposable. My phone rings. It's Reagan. Someone broke into your home office, she says without preamble. The locked drawer was forced open. My blood runs cold. The folders? Gone. Including the one with all the Gleam River Holdings documentation. I sit heavily on my stripped bed. When? Security camera shows someone entering around noon. Footage is grainy, but... It looked like your mum, Maddie. Of course. Mum's always had a spare key, and she's always been good at finding things she's not supposed to. It doesn't matter, I say. Ross has the originals, and tomorrow's meeting is still on. Are you sure you want to go through with this? They're still your family. I look around my gutted room, at the donation boxes labelled Goodwill, at the wall where my college diploma used to hang, sold 3 years ago to help pay Peyton's credit card debt. No, I say quietly, they're not. Not anymore. A knock at my door. Mum enters without waiting for a response. Maddie, honey, we need to talk. She's holding a familiar folder. I found some interesting papers in your office. I end the call with Reagan. You mean the office you broke into? Don't be dramatic. I was just tidying up. She waves the folder. Want to explain what Gleam River Holdings is? Not particularly. Madeline. Her voice hardens. If you're trying to interfere with the house sale, you mean the sale you planned without telling me? The one where you're selling my house to Riker's shell company? She blinks. Your house? This is your father's and my house. We've let you live here out of kindness, but... Check page 3, I interrupt. The mortgage transfer documents. Look who owns it now. She flips through the papers, her face paling. This can't be real. Ross will explain everything at tomorrow's meeting. I stand up. You should probably start unpacking those donation boxes. You wouldn't do this to us, to your sister. She tries for her usual guilt-trip tone, but I hear the fear underneath. We're family. Family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't plan to throw someone out with a month's notice. I take the folder from her shaking hands. Family doesn't break into offices or use emergency credit cards for wedding venues. Maddie, please! The meeting's at 10 tomorrow. Don't be late. I walk past her to the door. Oh, and Mom? That apartment complex you recommended? The one by the highway? I smile. They're accepting applications. I leave her standing in my empty room, clutching her pearls, finally realising that her responsible daughter has become something else entirely. Something they never saw coming. Ross's conference room feels smaller with all of them crammed inside. Mum keeps adjusting her pearls, Dad's staring at his hands, and Peyton's shooting me death glares between texting furiously on her phone. Riker sits apart from them, his jaw clenched. I take my seat beside Ross, calm and collected. The manila folders in front of us hold every document, every receipt, every piece of evidence I've gathered over the years. "Thank you all for coming," Ross begins, his professional tone filling the silence. "We're here to discuss the ownership and proposed sale of 1542 Maple Street." "This is ridiculous," Mum interrupts. "That's our house. We've owned it for 30 years. Ross slides the first document across the table. "Actually, Mrs. Stevenson, Gleam River Holdings has owned the property for the past 3 years, since the near foreclosure in 2020. Dad's head snaps up. "What foreclosure?" "The one you nearly triggered after co-signing Peyton's juice bar loan," I say quietly. "The one I prevented by buying the mortgage outright." "You?" Peyton laughs. "You can barely afford your insurance job salary." Ross pushes another folder forward. "Madeline is the sole owner of Gleam River Holdings. She's also the owner of Artisan Home Collective, a 7-figure online business." The room goes silent. Mum's hand freezes on her pearls. "That's impossible," she whispers. "Would you like to see the tax returns?" Ross offers. "Or perhaps the bank statements showing how Madeline's been paying the majority of your household expenses for years?" Riker stands abruptly. "This is a waste of time. We have a signed purchase agreement." "With a shell company you created," I counter. "Planning to flip the house for profit, right? Just like those investment schemes you're being investigated for." Peyton's phone clatters to the floor. "What investment schemes?" Ross distributes more documents. "Mr. Martinez has an interesting financial history. 3 bankruptcies, 2 failed pyramid schemes, and a pending investigation for securities fraud." "That's a lie!" Peyton shrieks. But Riker won't meet her eyes. "While we're discussing finances," Ross continues, "let's address the unauthorized use of Madeline's emergency credit card for wedding expenses." Mum stands up. "Now wait just a minute. $50,000 in vendor deposits," I cut in. "All reversed now, of course. Fraud department was very understanding." "You cancelled my wedding vendors." Peyton's voice rises to glass-shattering pitch. "How could you do this to me?" "The same way you did everything to me." I meet her gaze steadily. "The college fund? The emergency savings? The constant emotional manipulation?" "We did what we had to do," Dad finally speaks. "For the family." "No." I lean forward. "You did what was easy, taking from the responsible one, using me like an ATM. Well, guess what? The ATM is closed." Riker grabs his jacket. "This is insane. Peyton, let's go." "Sit down," Ross says sharply. "We're not finished." "Actually, I am." Riker heads for the door. "Good luck with your perfect little family, Peyton. I'm out." "What?" Peyton jumps up. "What do you mean you're out?" "I mean, I'm not marrying into this mess. Call me when you have actual money instead of just Daddy's empty promises." The door slams behind him. Peyton crumples into her chair, mascara running. "This is all your fault," Mum points at me. "You've ruined everything." "No." I stand slowly. "You did that yourselves. The house stays with Gleam River Holdings. You have 30 days to vacate as legally required." "You can't do this to us," Dad protests. "We're your parents." "Parents don't treat their child like a backup plan." I gather my things. The apartment complex by the highway is still accepting applications. Very affordable, I hear. Peyton's sobs echo off the conference room walls. Mum's still sputtering protest. Dad looks shell-shocked. "Meeting adjourned," Ross announces. "My office will be in touch with formal eviction notices." I walk to the door, then pause. Turn back one last time. "You know what the funny thing is?" I say quietly. "All I ever wanted was for you to see me, to value me, to treat me like family instead of a convenience." I shake my head. "But you couldn't even do that." "Maddie, please." Mum tries one last time. "We can fix this." "No, Mum, we can't." I open the door. "But don't worry. I'm sure Peyton will figure something out. After all, she's always been your favourite." I leave them there, surrounded by the evidence of their own betrayals, their perfect plan in ruins, their golden child in tears, their reliable daughter, finally, irrevocably, free. Ross catches up to me at the elevator. "You okay?" I watch the numbers descend. I will be. For the first time in 28 years, I actually believe it. Have you seen Peyton's Instagram? Reagan asks, scrolling through her phone. We're sitting in what used to be my parents' living room, now empty, except for the renovation supplies scattered across the floor. I blocked her weeks ago. Well, she's having a very public meltdown, posted this huge rant about toxic family betrayal and karmic justice coming. Your mum's commenting on everything, calling you a monster. I dip my paintbrush into the primer. Let them vent. They need someone to blame. They're blaming the wrong person. Reagan sets down her phone and picks up a roller. Did you know your dad tried to contact Ross about suing Gleam River Holdings? Ross mentioned it. Said Dad nearly had a stroke when he learned how much that would cost. I stroked the brush along the baseboard, covering the marks where Peyton used to measure her height. Apparently, they can't even afford a retainer now that their credit cards are maxed out. The front door opens and a familiar voice calls out, Maddie. In here, Mum, I say, without turning around. Her heels click across the hardwood. She stops in the doorway, taking in the half-painted walls and drop cloths. What are you doing to our home? My home, I correct her. I'm renovating. The property value's been stagnant for years. She wrings her hands, a gesture I've seen 1,000 times before, usually right before she asks for money. Sweetheart, we need to talk about Peyton. No, we don't. She's devastated. Her wedding's cancelled. Riker won't return her calls, and her credit cards are all declined. Mom steps closer. She needs her big sister. I set down my brush. Like I needed my parents, when you took my college fund, when you drained my savings, when you... That was different. We were helping family. No, Reagan cuts in, surprising us both. You were exploiting family. There's a difference. Mom draws herself up. This doesn't concern you. Actually, it does. I wipe my hands on a rag. Reagan's my new business partner. I transferred 50% ownership of Artisan Home Collective to her last week. You what? Mom's face pales. But that money was supposed to be for family. Reagan is family. The kind that builds you up instead of bleeding you dry. Mom's expression hardens. I always knew she was a bad influence. Turning you against us like this. You did that all on your own. I pick up my brush again. Was there anything else? The primer needs to dry before the next coat. Your father's looking for work, she says quietly. The medical bills are piling up. We thought maybe, since you have all this money now... No, but we're your parents. And I'm your daughter. The one you were going to throw out with a month's notice, remember? I point to the door. Speaking of which, you have 1 week left before the eviction deadline. She starts crying. The theatrical sobs I've seen her use countless times to get her way. What happened to you? She whispers. You used to be so sweet, so helpful. I grew up. I got strong. I stopped letting you use me. I meet her eyes. Maybe it's time you and Peyton did the same. You'll regret this, she says, turning to leave. When you're all alone with your money and your spite, you'll miss your family. I already miss them, I say to her back. I've been missing them for 28 years. The door slams. Reagan puts down her roller and hugs me. You okay? Better than okay. I gesture to the room. I'm thinking of turning this into an art studio. Maybe offer classes for other responsible daughters who need an escape. Perfect, she grins. Want to see something that'll make you feel even better? She shows me her phone. On the screen is a business listing. Peyton's yoga studio up for sale. Guess those credit card bills finally caught up with her, Reagan says. I start laughing. Real, genuine laughter that echoes off the empty walls. It feels like release, like freedom. My phone buzzes. A text from Ross. Letter arrived at the office for you. Return address is Peyton's. Don't open it, Reagan advises. It's probably another guilt trip. Or maybe it's an apology, I say, though I don't believe it. Either way, it can wait. Reagan picks up her roller. Right now, these walls need us more than they do. I look around the room, at the fresh paint covering old scars, at the sunlight streaming through windows I've finally cleaned, at the space that's becoming truly mine. You're right, I say, reaching for my brush. Let's make something new. The letter can wait. I've spent enough time reading between their lines, trying to find love in their manipulation. It's time to write my own story, one coat of paint at a time. It's not an apology, Ross says, sliding Peyton's letter across his desk. It's a threat. I scan the pages of my sister's flowing handwriting. Phrases jump out. Legal action, emotional distress, family responsibility. At the bottom, Mum's signature appears next to Peyton's. They're trying to claim I manipulated them, I say, setting down the letter. That I took advantage of their trust by secretly buying the house. It's desperate nonsense. Ross adjusts his glasses. They're hoping you'll settle out of court to avoid drama. The irony of them accusing me of manipulation, I shake my head. What do they have left to fight with? Nothing. But desperate people try desperate things. He pulls out another document. Which is why I filed this restraining order after they showed up at your office yesterday. My phone buzzes, Reagan sending photos of the newly renovated house. The art studio is finished, sunlight streaming through restored windows. The first class starts tomorrow. They're losing everything they took for granted, Ross continues. Their safety net, their social status, their power over you, that makes them dangerous. Not anymore. I stand up. Send them my response. No settlements, no negotiations, no more chances. And if they escalate, then they'll learn what the responsible one is really capable of. I drive to the house, my house, where Reagan's waiting with coffee and paint swatches for the final room, my old bedroom. Look what came in the mail, she says, handing me a glossy postcard. It's from the apartment complex by the highway, addressed to my parents' new unit. Guess they took your suggestion. How the mighty fall. I pin the postcard to my inspiration board, next to the eviction notice they tried to fight, and the newspaper clipping about Riker's arrest for investment fraud. Speaking of falling, Reagan grins, Peyton's yoga studio officially went bankrupt. She's moving in with your parents. Karma's not just a trending hashtag anymore. I open the paint cans. Help me finish this room. We work in comfortable silence until Reagan says, someone's coming up the walk. Through the window, I see Mum approaching, clutching her purse like a shield. I meet her at the door before she can knock. You can't be here, I say through the screen. The restraining order. I know. She looks smaller somehow, her designer outfit replaced with department store basics. I needed to see it. What you've done with the place. You mean what I've done with my place? Yes. She swallows hard. Your place. I'm starting to understand that now. Are you? Or are you here to try another angle? I'm here because... She straightens her shoulders. Because you were right. About everything. We used you. We took you for granted. We treated you like a resource instead of a daughter. Save the speech, Mum. I've heard all your performances before. This isn't a performance. Her voice cracks. This is me realising I don't recognise my own daughter. Not because you've changed, but because I never knew you to begin with. I study her face, searching for the manipulation I'm used to seeing. Instead, I find something new. Defeat. Peyton's not speaking to me, she continues. She blames me for everything. Says I raised her to be entitled. Your father, she blinks back tears. He's working as a night security guard. We can barely make rent. That sounds like a you problem. It is. For the first time in my life, it really is. She turns to leave, then stops. The art studio, I saw the sign. A space for responsible daughters. It's good. What you're doing. I know. She walks away, her shoulders slumped. No dramatic exit this time. Reagan appears beside me. You okay? I'm perfect. I close the door. Let's finish painting my room. We work until sunset, transforming the space where I once felt trapped into something bright and new. As we clean up, Reagan picks up the postcard from my parents' apartment complex. You know what the best revenge is? She asks. What? Living well. In their old house, running a successful business, helping other women escape toxic families. She smiles. Being happy without them. I look around my home, really look at it. At the walls that no longer hold painful memories. At the spaces filled with possibility instead of obligation. At the life I've built from the ashes of their expectations. They thought I'd always be the sturdy wall they leaned on, I say, washing my brushes. They forgot what happens when a wall decides to stand on its own. Reagan raises her coffee cup. To standing on our own. I clink my cup against hers, watching the sunset paint my windows gold. Tomorrow the art studio welcomes its first class. Tomorrow, more responsible daughters will find their strength. But tonight, in this moment, I'm simply free. And that's the best revenge of all.
I knew I was in trouble the moment Jason's hand lingered on my lower back. Not because it was inappropriate. We'd been sleeping together for months, but because I felt nothing. The electric spark that once shot through me at his touch had vanished, replaced by a hollow emptiness that terrified me more than any fire alarm ever could. "You look stunning tonight, Alyssa," he whispered, his breath warm against my ear. The annual holiday party buzzed around us, a sea of colleagues in festive attire, clutching flutes of mediocre champagne. I forced a smile. "Thanks. You clean up nice yourself." The words felt mechanical leaving my mouth. Jason Bennett, the charismatic CEO who'd swept me off my feet 11 months ago, stood before me in a perfectly tailored suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. His salt and pepper hair was styled just so, and his cologne, something expensive and woody, enveloped me like a familiar blanket. Every woman in the room stole glances at him. I used to feel special being the one he chose to look at. Now I just felt tired. "I need to mingle," he said, squeezing my hip before disappearing into the crowd. I watched him work the room, stopping to chat with board members, laughing at the right moments, touching arms and shoulders with practiced precision. The man was a master at making everyone feel important. It had worked on me too. "Earth to Alyssa." Callie appeared beside me, 2 fresh drinks in hand. "You're staring again." I accepted the champagne gratefully. "Just observing the Jason Bennett show. It's quite the performance." Callie sipped her drink, eyeing me over the rim. "You okay? You seem off tonight." "I'm fine." I wasn't. The truth was, I'd been feeling this disconnect for weeks. Something about Jason and me had shifted, and I couldn't pinpoint when or why. "If you say so." Callie didn't believe me. Best friends rarely do. "Isaiah was looking for you earlier. Something about the Peterson account." I groaned. Can't escape work even at the holiday party. That's what happens when you're the rising star of marketing. She nudged my shoulder playfully. I spotted Isaiah across the room, deep in conversation with the CFO. At 45, my mentor had the kind of wisdom that came from navigating corporate politics for 2 decades. He'd taken me under his wing 3 years ago, and I owed much of my success to his guidance. "I'll catch him later," I said, not wanting to interrupt. The evening continued its predictable course. Speeches from executives, an awkward gift exchange, increasingly loud conversations as the alcohol flowed freely. I played my part, networking and laughing at jokes that weren't funny, all while feeling increasingly detached from the scene around me. At 10:17 p.m., everything changed. The fire alarm blared through the hotel ballroom, its piercing wail cutting through music and chatter. For a moment, everyone froze, exchanging confused glances, wondering if this was some planned entertainment. Then we smelled the smoke. "Everyone remain calm and proceed to the nearest exit," a hotel staff member announced, voice steady but urgent. The room erupted into controlled chaos. I lost sight of Jason in the crowd as we all moved toward the exits. Outside in the December chill, I hugged my arms around myself, my thin cocktail dress offering little protection against the winter air. "Alyssa?" Callie pushed through the crowd toward me. "Are you okay?" "Yeah," I nodded, watching as flames became visible through the ballroom's windows. "Do they know what happened? Kitchen fire, apparently." She shivered beside me. "Have you seen Jason?" I scanned the crowd, spotting familiar faces from marketing, finance, and sales. No Jason. Not since before the alarm. Sirens wailed in the distance as fire trucks approached. Hotel staff distributed emergency blankets to guests shivering in evening wear. I wrapped mine tightly around my shoulders, the metallic material crinkling with each movement. My phone buzzed in my clutch. Probably Jason, I thought, fumbling to retrieve it with cold fingers. The email notification on my screen wasn't from Jason. The sender was unfamiliar. ebennett@gmail.com. E. Bennett. Eloise Bennett? Jason's wife. My stomach dropped. ex-wife, he'd told me. They'd been separated for over a year, divorce nearly finalized. That's what he'd said when we first started seeing each other. The subject line read, "What Jason Bennett doesn't want you to know." My thumb hovered over the notification, heart hammering against my ribs. Around me, colleagues murmured about the fire, about ruined plans and smoke-damaged clothes. None of it registered. The world had narrowed to just my phone screen and that email. "Alyssa?" Callie's voice seemed distant. "You look like you've seen a ghost." I glanced up, searching the crowd one more time. This time I found him, Jason, standing across the parking lot, phone pressed to his ear, gesturing animatedly. As if sensing my gaze, he turned. Our eyes locked for a brief moment before his expression changed from surprise to something darker. He ended his call abruptly and started walking toward me. I looked back at my phone and opened the email. The email loaded painfully slowly, each second stretching into eternity as Jason made his way through the crowd toward me. My fingers trembled, not from the cold but from the dread pooling in my stomach. "I think you should know the truth about the man you're sleeping with." The first line hit me like a slap. Below it were 3 attachments and a message that turned my insides to ice. "Jason and I are still very much married. The separation is a convenient fiction he uses with women like you. I've attached our most recent family photo, 2 months ago, our joint tax filing from last month, and a screenshot of his text to me from yesterday about our anniversary plans next week. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this. You're not the first, and you won't be the last." I stared at the words, reading them again and again, as if they might rearrange themselves into something less devastating. With numb fingers, I opened the first attachment. There they were, Jason, Eloise, and their teenage son at what looked like a lakeside cabin, arms around each other, smiling. The date stamp showed it was taken 8 weeks ago, when Jason had told me he was at a conference in Seattle. "Alyssa." His voice cut through my shock. Jason stood before me now, concern etched across his features so convincingly that for a second I questioned the evidence on my phone. "Are you okay? I've been looking everywhere for you." I looked up at him, this man I'd given 11 months of my life to, whose bed I'd shared just last night, and felt something inside me crack open. "Who's he, Bennett?" I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. His expression flickered, so briefly I might have missed it if I hadn't been watching for it. Confusion, then recognition, then the smooth reassurance I'd come to rely on. "My ex-wife's been causing problems again." He sighed, reaching for my hand. "I'm sorry about that. She's been unstable since I left." I pulled my hand away. Funny, because according to these, I turned my phone screen toward him, showing the family photo. "You haven't left at all." The mask slipped. For one unguarded moment I saw it, calculation behind those warm brown eyes I'd once found so trustworthy. "Let's not do this here," he said, glancing around at our colleagues who were starting to notice our tense exchange. "It's complicated, Alyssa. Let me explain everything somewhere private." "Complicated?" I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. "Is that what you call lying to my face for almost a year?" Callie appeared at my side, her presence solid and reassuring. "Everything okay here?" "No," I said, not taking my eyes off Jason. "Nothing is okay." Jason's jaw tightened. "Alyssa, please, you're making a scene." "I'm making a scene?" My voice rose despite my efforts to control it. "You told me you were divorced. You told me your ex-wife was difficult and bitter, and that's why you never introduced us." "Lower your voice," he hissed, reaching for my arm. I jerked away. "Don't touch me." People were definitely staring now. In my peripheral vision, I saw Reese from accounting, watching with undisguised interest. Tomorrow, this would be all over the office. "You need to calm down," Jason said, his CEO voice emerging, the one he used to shut down opposition in meetings. "And you need to explain why your wife thinks you're celebrating your anniversary next week." I scrolled to the text screenshot and held it up. "Or why you filed joint taxes last month when you told me your divorce was final in June." His face hardened. This isn't the place. Then where is the place, Jason? Your actual home with your actual wife? Callie's hand found my shoulder, squeezing gently. Alyssa, maybe we should go. The fire department's letting people back in to get their things. I nodded, suddenly exhausted. The adrenaline that had propelled my confrontation was ebbing, leaving behind a hollow ache in my chest. We're not done discussing this, Jason said, his voice low. There are things you don't understand. I understand perfectly. I turned away, letting Callie guide me toward the hotel entrance. We retrieved our coats and bags in silence. My mind raced through every moment with Jason, every promise, every intimate confession, all of it tainted now, all of it suspect. Want to talk about it? Callie asked as we waited for our Uber. Not yet. I stared at my phone, scrolling through the rest of Eloise's email. The final paragraph stopped my breath. If you're wondering why I'm telling you this now, it's because I found something in Jason's private accounts yesterday. He's been embezzling from the company, your company, for years. The evidence is in his home office. I'm done protecting him, and I thought you should know exactly who you're dealing with before he drags you down too. My mind whirled with implications. If this was true, if Jason was stealing from the company, it explained so much. The mysterious budget shortfalls in projects he oversaw. The financial reviews he'd postponed repeatedly. The way he'd discouraged me from looking too closely at certain accounts. The Uber arrived, its headlights cutting through the night. As I climbed in, my phone buzzed with a text from Jason. This isn't what it looks like. Meet me tomorrow. I can explain everything. I turned off my phone without replying. Something cold and determined settled in my chest, replacing the hurt with something harder, something sharper. Jason Bennett had destroyed my trust. Now I would destroy him. I called in sick the next day. The thought of facing office whispers and pitying glances made my stomach turn. Instead, I sat cross-legged on my couch, laptop balanced on my knees, systematically erasing Jason from my life, untagging photos, deleting messages, removing his playlists from my Spotify. My phone buzzed for the 12th time that morning. Jason again. I silenced it without reading the message and returned to my digital purge. A knock at my door startled me. I froze, wondering if Jason had decided to bring his explanations in person. The knock came again, more insistent. Alyssa, it's me. Open up. Callie's voice. I exhaled and shuffled to the door in my oversized sweater and leggings, hair piled messily on top of my head. Callie stood there holding a paper bag that smelled like cinnamon and coffee. You look like hell, she said, pushing past me into the apartment. Thanks. I feel worse. I closed the door and followed her to the kitchen. She unpacked breakfast, almond croissants and 2 large coffees, and studied me with narrowed eyes. So, are we burning his stuff or what? A laugh escaped me, surprising us both. I don't have much of his stuff. He was careful about that. Of course he was. She slid a coffee toward me. Married men usually are. The word married hit me like a physical blow. I wrapped my hands around the warm cup, anchoring myself. Have you talked to him? Callie asked. No, he's called, texted, emailed. I took a sip of coffee, welcoming the bitter heat. I'm not ready to hear whatever lies he's prepared. Callie broke a croissant in half, flaky layers separating under her fingers. What are you going to do about work? Everyone saw your fight. Fantastic, I groaned. Is Reese having a field day? Let's just say she's not downplaying what she witnessed. Callie hesitated. Isaiah was asking about you, my mentor, the man whose respect meant everything to me professionally. What did he say? He wanted to make sure you were okay, said to tell you to take whatever time you need. She paused. But Alyssa, there's something else. Something about the embezzlement claim. My head snapped up. What about it? I overheard Isaiah talking to the CFO. There's an internal investigation happening. They didn't mention Jason specifically, but they were discussing financial irregularities in the executive accounts. My mind raced. If Eloise was right about the embezzlement, Jason wasn't just a cheating husband. He was a criminal, and I had been sleeping with him, confiding in him, trusting him with sensitive information about my projects and clients. "I need proof," I said, more to myself than to Callie. "Proof of what? That he's married? You already have that." "No, the embezzlement. If he's stealing from the company, that's my leverage." I met Callie's concerned gaze. "I need to talk to someone in IT." "You mean Riker?" She raised an eyebrow. "The guy who stares at you in every meeting." "He doesn't stare." I felt my cheeks warm. "And yes, Riker. He has access to the financial systems." "This sounds dangerous, Alyssa. If Jason is embezzling and you start poking around, what's he going to do? Fire me? Cheat on me?" I stood up, sudden energy coursing through me. "I'm already at rock bottom. The only way is up." 2 hours later, I sat in a corner booth at a coffee shop 6 blocks from the office, nervously shredding a napkin. The door chimed, and Riker walked in, his tall frame and dark curls instantly recognizable. He spotted me and wove between tables, sliding into the seat across from me. "This is very cloak and dagger," he said with a half smile. "Secret coffee meetings during work hours." "Thanks for coming." I pushed a coffee toward him. "I wasn't sure you would." A cryptic text from Melissa asking for urgent help. Wouldn't miss it. His smile faded as he studied my face. "You look like you haven't slept." "That obvious, huh?" I tried to smile but couldn't quite manage it. "What's going on? Your message said it was important." I took a deep breath. "What I'm about to ask you is probably against company policy, possibly illegal. If you want to walk away, I completely understand." Riker leaned forward, voice dropping. "Is this about Jason?" The question caught me off guard. "How did you—" "Everyone saw what happened at the party." His expression darkened. "And it's not the first time he's done this." "Done what exactly?" "Dated employees while hiding the fact he's married." Riker's fingers tapped a restless rhythm on the table. "There was someone in accounting before you, and an intern before her." A pattern. Of course there was a pattern. I swallowed hard against the humiliation rising in my throat. "I need access to the financial records Jason oversees," I said, forcing myself to focus. "I have reason to believe he's been embezzling company funds." Riker's eyes widened. "That's a serious accusation." "I know. That's why I need proof, not just suspicion." He was quiet for a long moment, considering. "I could lose my job for this." "I understand. Like I said, you can walk away." "I didn't say I wouldn't help." His eyes met mine, something fierce and determined in them. "Jason Bennett isn't who everyone thinks he is. I've been waiting for a chance to prove it." "What do you mean?" Riker glanced around before leaning closer. 2 years ago, my sister worked in HR. She found discrepancies in executive expense reports, specifically Jason's. When she raised concerns, she was fired within a week, officially for performance issues. Understanding dawned. "This is personal for you." "Yes." His jaw tightened. "So what exactly are we looking for?" As I outlined what I needed, something shifted inside me. The hurt and betrayal were still there, but alongside them grew something new, a cold, clear purpose. This wasn't just about a man who had lied to me. This was about justice. "I can get you what you need," Riker said finally. "But Alyssa, be careful. If Jason realizes what you're doing..." "I know the risks." What I didn't say was that I welcomed them. For the first time since reading Eloise's email, I felt something other than pain. I felt powerful. 3 days later, I returned to work with armor carefully constructed, a crisp black pantsuit, hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail, makeup applied with precision to hide the shadows under my eyes. I'd rehearsed responses to potential questions, prepared neutral expressions, and steeled myself against the inevitable gossip. What I hadn't prepared for was the silence. Conversations hushed as I walked through the marketing department. Glances slid away from mine. Even Reese, who thrived on office drama, merely watched me with calculating eyes as I passed her desk. "Welcome back," Isaiah said when I knocked on his office door. His smile seemed genuine, but something in his eyes, concern, maybe pity, made my spine stiffen. "Thanks. I had that stomach bug going around." The lie tasted bitter. "Of course." He gestured to the chair across from his desk. "Have a seat. We should discuss the Peterson campaign." For 20 minutes we talked strictly business. Isaiah reviewed my proposal, suggested minor adjustments, and approved the budget. Normal, professional. As if he hadn't witnessed my public meltdown with the CEO. As I gathered my notes to leave, he finally broached the subject. "Alyssa, about what happened at the holiday party. I'd rather not discuss my personal life at work," I cut in, my tone sharper than intended. Isaiah leaned back, studying me. "Fair enough, but as your mentor, I need to say this. Be careful about the battles you choose. Some aren't worth fighting." A chill ran through me. "What does that mean?" "It means Jason has a lot of influence in this industry. I'd hate to see your career affected by personal complications." The warning was clear, wrapped in concern though it was. Don't rock the boat. Don't challenge the powerful. Don't make waves. "Thank you for your concern," I said, standing, "but I can handle my own battles." Back at my desk, I found an email from Riker with the subject line, "Coffee again?" The message contained only a time, 3:30 p.m., and a different cafe address. At 3:25, I slipped out, telling Callie I needed air. The cafe was smaller than our previous meeting spot, tucked between a bookstore and a vintage clothing shop. Riker sat in the farthest corner, a laptop open before him. "Did anyone see you leave?" he asked as I sat down. "I don't think so. Why the paranoia?" He turned his laptop toward me. "Because I found something. Several somethings, actually." The screen showed a spreadsheet of financial transfers, dates, amounts, account numbers. Nothing immediately incriminating to my untrained eye. "What am I looking at?" "These are transfers from the company's operational fund to various vendor accounts." His finger traced a column of numbers. "Except these vendors don't exist. The money goes to shell companies, then gets moved offshore." My heart raced. "And you can prove Jason is behind this? That's where it gets complicated." Riker scrolled to another document. "The authorizations come from his department, but they're executed using the CFO's credentials. Either they're working together, or Jason is setting someone else up to take the fall." I finished his thought, the pieces clicking together. "Exactly." Riker looked grim. "There's more. I tracked some of these transfers to personal accounts. One belongs to Jason, but another..." He hesitated. "Another what?" "Another is in your name." The cafe seemed to tilt around me. "That's impossible. I don't have any offshore accounts." "According to these records, you do. Opened 6 months ago, with regular deposits coinciding with these unauthorized transfers." My stomach dropped. "He's framing me." "It looks that way." Riker closed his laptop. "If this embezzlement comes to light, the evidence points to you as his accomplice." I pressed my fingers to my temples, trying to think through the implications. "Can you trace when these accounts were created? IP addresses, anything?" "I'm working on it, but whoever did this covered their tracks well." He paused. "Alyssa, you need to be careful. This is bigger than an office affair gone wrong." "I know." My voice sounded distant to my own ears. "Thank you for risking this." Riker's hand briefly covered mine. "We'll figure it out." The touch was unexpected, warm and reassuring. I pulled away, uncomfortable with the intimacy and the complication it suggested. "I should get back before people notice I'm gone." Outside, the winter air bit at my cheeks as I walked briskly back to the office. My mind raced with this new information. Jason hadn't just lied about his marriage. He'd potentially set me up to take the fall for his crimes. As I approached the building, a sleek black car pulled up beside me. The window rolled down, revealing a face I recognized from photographs but had never seen in person. Eloise Bennett. "Get in," she said, her voice calm but commanding. "We need to talk." I hesitated, every instinct screaming caution. If you want to avoid prison for embezzlement, you'll hear what I have to say. Her perfectly manicured hand pushed the door open wider. My heart hammered against my ribs. How did she know about the embezzlement evidence? About my supposed involvement? 5 minutes, I said, sliding into the leather seat beside her. The car pulled away from the curb. Eloise studied me with cool appraisal, her blonde hair falling in elegant waves around a face that was beautiful in a sharp, intimidating way. "So you're the latest one," she said finally. "I'm not the latest anything," I replied, anger flaring. "I'm the woman your husband lied to for nearly a year." A small smile curved her lips. "Good, you've got fire, you'll need it." "What do you want from me?" "An alliance." She reached into her designer handbag and withdrew a flash drive. "This contains evidence of Jason's embezzlement going back 3 years, evidence that clears you and implicates him beyond doubt." I stared at the small device. "Why would you help me?" "Because I want the same thing you do." Her eyes, the same warm brown as Jason's but infinitely colder, locked with mine. "I want to destroy him, and I can't do it alone." The flash drive sat between us like a loaded gun. "Why now?" I asked. "Why not turn him in years ago?" "Because now I have you, someone with inside access and a personal vendetta." She leaned closer. "So what's it going to be, Alyssa? Are you in, or are you going to let him ruin you like he's ruined so many others?" I reached for the flash drive, my decision made before my fingers closed around it. "We need to meet," I texted Jason, after examining the contents of Eloise's flash drive. The evidence was damning. Emails, account transfers, and recordings that proved his embezzlement scheme and his deliberate attempt to frame me. His response came immediately. "My office, 7 p.m. I forwarded copies of everything to both my personal email and to Riker as insurance, then spent the afternoon rehearsing what I would say. By 6:55 p.m., most employees had left for the day. I stood outside Jason's corner office, smoothing my blazer and taking deep breaths. Through the glass wall, I could see him at his desk, phone pressed to his ear, gesturing emphatically. When he spotted me, he ended his call abruptly and waved me in. "Alyssa." He stood, coming around his desk with arms outstretched as if to embrace me. I stepped back. "Don't." His arms dropped, but his smile remained, that practiced, charismatic smile that had once made my heart race. Now it just made my skin crawl. "I've been worried about you," he said, perching on the edge of his desk. "You haven't returned my calls." "I've been busy." I remained standing, maintaining distance between us, learning some interesting things about you. Something flickered in his eyes, caution perhaps, but his expression remained concerned, sincere. "I know you're upset about Eloise. I should have been honest about the status of my divorce." "Stop." I held up a hand. "Let's not waste time with lies. I know about the embezzlement, Jason. I know about the offshore accounts. And I know you tried to set me up to take the fall." The transformation was instant. The warm concern vanished, replaced by something cold and calculating. He straightened, no longer the apologetic lover, but the executive assessing a threat. "That's quite an accusation." His voice had dropped an octave. "Do you have any idea what you're saying?" "I have every idea." I pulled out my phone, opened one of the audio files from the flash drive, and played it. Jason's voice discussing moving funds through shell companies with someone whose voice I didn't recognize. He listened, face impassive. When the recording ended, he sighed and walked to the window overlooking the city. "Who else knows about this?" he asked, his back to me. "That depends on what happens next." He turned, studying me with new eyes, not as a lover or even an adversary, but as a business problem to solve. "What do you want, Alyssa? Money? A promotion?" The casual way he offered a bribe made my blood boil. "I want you to remove my name from any accounts you've created. I want written confirmation that I had no knowledge of or involvement in your scheme." A small smile played at his lips. "Is that all? And I want you to resign, quietly. No golden parachute. No cushy landing at another company. He laughed then, a genuine sound of amusement that echoed in the large office. That's not going to happen. Then I take this to the board and the police. With what evidence? Recordings that could easily be manipulated. Financial documents you could have fabricated. He moved closer, confidence radiating from him. Who do you think they'll believe? The CEO with a spotless reputation, or the scorned woman he broke up with? Broke up with? I repeated incredulously. That's the narrative, Alyssa. We had a brief affair. I ended it. You became obsessed, vindictive. He shrugged. It's already making the rounds, thanks to our friend Reese. My stomach dropped. What are you talking about? Check your work email. HR sent a message about appropriate workplace relationships this afternoon. Not naming names, of course, but everyone knows who it's about. I pulled out my phone and saw the email. A company-wide reminder about the policy against harassment and creating hostile work environments. The timing wasn't coincidental. You're setting me up as the unstable ex, I realized aloud. It's nothing personal. He returned to his desk, the picture of a man unbothered. Just business. This isn't over, I said, fighting to keep my voice steady. It is, though. He sat down, already turning his attention to his computer. I'd start looking for another job if I were you. Your reputation here is compromised. I left his office with my hands shaking, not from fear, but from rage. In the elevator, I checked my phone and found a text from Callie. We need to talk, now. I met her in the parking garage, where she paced beside her car. What the hell is going on? She demanded when she saw me. HR is asking questions about you and Jason. Reese is telling everyone you're having some kind of breakdown. It's complicated, I began. No shit. She crossed her arms. I'm your friend, Alyssa. Talk to me. I hesitated, weighing how much to reveal. Jason is trying to discredit me because I found out something he doesn't want exposed. The embezzlement? I stared at her. How do you... Because I've been helping Isaiah gather evidence for months. She lowered her voice. The CFO noticed discrepancies last year. They've been building a case quietly. My mind reeled. Why didn't you tell me? Isaiah thought you might be involved because of your relationship with Jason. Her expression softened at my shock. I told him that was ridiculous, but he insisted on keeping you in the dark until they were certain. And now they're ready to move, but Jason seems to be setting you up to take the blame. She unlocked her car. Get in. There's someone you need to meet. Who? The real whistleblower, the person who first noticed the missing funds. She slid into the driver's seat. Riker's sister. As we drove away from the office, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Change of plans. Jason knows we're working together. Meet me at the Harborview Hotel, room 712, Eloise. I stared at the message, a chill running down my spine. If Jason knew about my alliance with his wife, what else did he know? And more importantly, what was he planning to do about it? We need to make a stop first, I told Callie, showing her the text. I think we're running out of time. The Harborview Hotel loomed ahead, its glass facade reflecting the city lights like a wall of stars. Callie pulled into the parking garage, killing the engine with a concerned glance my way. I still think this is a bad idea, she said. Meeting Eloise alone after that text, it screams trap. That's why you're here. I checked my phone again. No new messages. If I'm not back in 30 minutes, call Riker. Why not just call the police? With what? We need more concrete evidence before involving them. I unbuckled my seatbelt. Besides, if Jason is setting me up, the last thing I need is to look more unstable by making accusations I can't prove. Callie grabbed my arm. Just be careful. Jason's already showing how far he'll go to protect himself. The elevator ride to the 7th floor gave me time to rehearse what I'd say to Eloise. We needed to coordinate our approach, especially now that Jason knew we were working together. The hallway was quiet, my footsteps muffled by plush carpeting as I approached room 712. I knocked softly. No answer. I knocked again, louder. Eloise? It's Alyssa. Still nothing. Unease prickled along my spine. I tried the handle. Unlocked. The door swung open to reveal a dimly lit suite, curtains drawn against the night. Eloise? The room appeared empty, the bed still made, no personal items visible. I stepped inside, letting the door close behind me. Something felt wrong. I was wondering if you'd come. I whirled around. Jason stood by the bathroom door, his expression unreadable in the low light. Where's Eloise? I demanded, backing toward the exit. Not here, obviously. He moved into the room, blocking my path to the door. She didn't send that text. My heart hammered against my ribs. What do you want? To negotiate. He gestured to the small table by the window. Have a seat. I'll stand. Always so stubborn. He sighed, loosening his tie. That's what I liked about you, Alyssa. Your determination, your unwillingness to back down. Save the compliments. You've made your position clear. Have I? He moved closer, and I resisted the urge to step back. Because I think there's been a misunderstanding. I don't want to be your enemy. You framed me for embezzlement and told HR I'm having a breakdown. That's pretty hostile. Insurance policies. He shrugged. You threatened me. I protected myself. That's business. This isn't business. This is my life you're messing with. And you're messing with mine. For the first time, his calm facade cracked, revealing something harder beneath. Do you have any idea what I've built, what I've sacrificed? Your integrity, your marriage, the company's financial stability. I crossed my arms. Quite the empire of sand, Jason. His jaw tightened. I want the flash drive Eloise gave you. So he did know about that. I don't have it with me. Don't lie to me. He stepped closer, invading my space. Eloise is trying to ruin me in our divorce. She's using you. Like you used me. I held my ground despite the alarm bells ringing in my head. At least she was honest about her intentions. Something dangerous flashed in his eyes. Last chance, Alyssa. Give me the drive, sign an NDA, and this all goes away. You keep your job, your reputation, everything. And if I refuse, then I destroy you. His voice was soft, almost regretful. The embezzlement evidence points to you. HR already thinks you're unstable. It wouldn't take much to convince everyone you fabricated evidence against me out of spite. The room seemed to close in around me. He was right, he held all the cards. My word against his. And he had the company's trust, resources, and a head start on controlling the narrative. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Callie, probably wondering if I was okay. The reminder of her waiting outside steadied me. You're forgetting something, I said, finding my voice again. I'm not alone in this. Eloise has copies of everything. So does Riker. And now, so does Isaiah. Uncertainty flickered across his face. You're bluffing. Am I? Callie told me tonight that Isaiah and the CFO have been building a case against you for months. They know about the offshore accounts, the shell companies, all of it. He stared at me, recalculating. Isaiah wouldn't. He already has. Why do you think he's been asking so many questions about the Peterson account? That's where you've been hiding most of the transfers, right? It was a shot in the dark based on what Riker had shown me, but Jason's expression confirmed I'd hit the mark. It's over, Jason, I continued, gaining confidence. The board meeting tomorrow? They're not reviewing quarterly projections. They're reviewing evidence against you. His composure crumbled completely. You have no idea what you've done. I know exactly what I've done. I've stopped you from making me your scapegoat. I moved toward the door, keeping my eyes on him. Now, if you'll excuse me. His hand shot out, gripping my arm with bruising force. You're not going anywhere until we resolve this. Fear surged through me, but I kept my voice steady. Let go of me, or I scream and bring hotel security running. And tell them what? That your married ex-boyfriend is being mean to you. His grip tightened. Who do you think they'll believe? The door burst open behind us. Callie stood there, Riker at her shoulder. Everything okay in here? Riker asked, his normally gentle demeanor replaced by something harder as he assessed the situation. Jason released my arm immediately, stepping back with a forced smile. Just having a private conversation. Looks like it's over, Callie said, her eyes fixed on the red marks forming on my arm. I moved toward them, relief washing over me. We were just leaving. As we turned to go, Jason called after me. This isn't finished, Alyssa. You have until morning to reconsider. I paused in the doorway, turning to face him one last time. You're right about one thing, Jason. This isn't finished. But I'm not the one who should be worried about tomorrow. In the elevator, my legs finally gave out. I leaned against the wall, shaking. What happened in there? Callie demanded. He knows everything, I said, my voice unsteady. And he's desperate. Riker's expression darkened. That makes him dangerous. It also means we're winning, I replied, straightening as the elevator reached the lobby. And tomorrow we end this. Morning arrived with a text from Isaiah. Boardroom, 9 a.m. Come prepared. I hadn't slept. After leaving the hotel, Callie had insisted I stay at her place, worried Jason might show up at my apartment. We'd spent hours reviewing the evidence with Riker and his sister Mia, the original whistleblower who'd been silenced 2 years ago. You don't have to do this, Callie said as we pulled into the office parking garage at 8:45. The board has enough evidence without you putting yourself in the crosshairs. I checked my reflection in the visor mirror. I'd chosen my outfit carefully, a navy suit that projected confidence and professionalism. Nothing that could be dismissed as emotional or unstable. I need to be there, I said, applying a final touch of lipstick. This isn't just about the embezzlement anymore. It's about all the people he's hurt. The elevator ride to the executive floor felt endless. My phone buzzed with a message from Riker. In position, good luck. The boardroom doors loomed ahead, heavy wood panels that suddenly seemed impossibly intimidating. I hesitated, my hand on the handle, doubt creeping in. What if Jason had gotten to the board first? What if they believed him over me? A voice behind me made me jump. They're waiting for you. I turned to find Eloise standing there, elegant in a cream pantsuit, her expression unreadable. You're here, I said stupidly. Of course I am. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. Jason came to my house last night after your meeting. He was unhinged. Threatened to ruin me if I testified today. A chill ran through me. Are you still going to? Watch me. She pushed past me and opened the door. Inside, the board members sat around the massive table, expressions grave. Isaiah nodded slightly when he saw me. The CFO shuffled papers nervously. And at the head of the table, looking completely composed, sat Jason. Ah, the gang's all here, he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Shall we begin? I took a seat as far from him as possible, Eloise doing the same on the opposite side. The board chair, an older woman named Vivian, cleared her throat. This emergency meeting has been called to address serious allegations regarding financial improprieties. Her gaze swept the room. Isaiah, as you requested this meeting, perhaps you should start. Isaiah stood, distributing folders to each board member. For the past 6 months, the finance team has been tracking unusual transfers from our operational accounts to what appear to be vendor payments, but which we've discovered are shell companies. As he detailed the evidence, I watched Jason. He remained perfectly still, his expression neutral, occasionally nodding, as if considering the information objectively. The perfect picture of an executive hearing troubling news for the first time. These are serious allegations, Vivian said when Isaiah finished. Jason, what do you have to say? Jason straightened, his expression appropriately concerned. I'm as disturbed as everyone else by what I'm hearing. If these transfers occurred, they happened without my knowledge or approval. That's a lie, I said, unable to contain myself. All eyes turned to me. Ms. Reynolds, Vivian said, you'll have your turn to speak. Actually, Jason interjected smoothly, I think it's important to address Ms. Reynolds's presence here. As some of you may know, we had a brief personal relationship that ended recently. These accusations appear to be motivated by personal animus rather than fact. The room temperature seemed to drop. I felt the weight of skeptical gazes, saw the slight shifts in posture as board members reconsidered the situation. "That's quite convenient," Eloise said, her voice cutting through the tension. "Discredit the witness by suggesting she's emotionally compromised." Jason's smile tightened. "Eloise, always a pleasure. I assume you're here because of the divorce proceedings." "I'm here because you've been stealing from this company for years," she replied coolly. "And I have proof." She opened her laptop and turned it toward the board. "These are recordings of Jason discussing the embezzlement scheme with his accomplice, Reese from accounting." The room fell silent as Jason's voice filled the air, discussing offshore accounts and how to disguise transfers. When the recording ended, all eyes turned to him. His composure cracked slightly. "These are clearly manipulated. Eloise has every reason to fabricate evidence given our contentious divorce." "They're not manipulated," I said, finding my voice again. "And I'm not the only one with copies." On cue, the door opened. Riker entered, followed by Mia and, to my surprise, the head of IT security. "We've verified the authenticity of the recordings," the IT head stated, "and we've traced the creation of the offshore accounts to Mr. Bennett's personal devices." Jason stood abruptly. "This is absurd, a conspiracy to—" "There's more," I interrupted, pulling out my phone. "Last night, Jason threatened me at the Harborview Hotel, room 7112. He demanded I hand over evidence and sign an NDA. I played the recording I'd secretly made during our confrontation, capturing his threats and admission that he'd tried to frame me." The color drained from Jason's face as his own words condemned him. He looked around the room, finding no allies. "You recorded me without consent," he tried, his voice hollow. "Single-party consent state," Isaiah replied. "Perfectly legal." Jason's eyes locked with mine, hatred burning in them. "You think you've won?" "This isn't about winning," I said, meeting his gaze steadily. "It's about truth." He lunged suddenly, reaching across the table toward me. Board members gasped, chairs scraping as people moved back. But before he could reach me, security officers appeared at the door. Riker had positioned them there in advance. "Jason Bennett," one officer said, "we need you to come with us." As they escorted him out, his mask finally shattered completely. "This isn't over," he shouted, struggling against their grip. "You'll regret this, Alyssa, all of you." The door closed behind them, his threats fading down the hallway. In the sudden silence, I realized I was shaking, not from fear but from relief. It was over. Vivian cleared her throat. "I think we've seen enough. The board will need to discuss next steps, including involving the authorities." As people began to file out, Eloise approached me. "Not bad," she said, the ghost of a smile on her lips. "For an amateur." "Is that a compliment?" I asked. "Take it however you want." She gathered her things. "Just know that men like Jason, they don't stay down for long. Watch your back." With that cryptic warning, she left, leaving me alone with Isaiah. "You did well," he said, squeezing my shoulder. "I'm sorry I couldn't tell you we were building a case." "I understand why you didn't." And surprisingly, I did. "What happens now?" "Now?" He glanced toward the window, where the morning sun illuminated the city. "Now we rebuild." The office felt different as I packed my desk. Not because of the whispers that followed me through the hallways, or the awkward smiles from colleagues who didn't know what to say to the woman who'd brought down their CEO. It felt different, because I was different. "You don't have to do this," Isaiah said, leaning against my doorframe. "The board specifically stated they want you to stay." I placed my awards and certificates into a cardboard box. "I know, but I need a fresh start. The interim CEO position is still on the table." He stepped into my office, closing the door behind him. "You're the most qualified person to help rebuild after Jason's damage." I paused, considering the offer I'd already declined twice. I'm flattered, but my decision is made. At least tell me where you're going. That's the beauty of it, I don't know yet. I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in months. But I've got some ideas. A knock interrupted us. Riker stood in the doorway, a flash drive in hand. Sorry to interrupt, he said, but you need to see this before you go. I glanced at Isaiah, who nodded and stepped out, giving us privacy. What is it? I asked as Riker plugged the drive into my computer. I've been digging through Jason's personal files since his arrest. He pulled up a folder labeled Contingencies. He kept detailed records on everyone he considered a threat or an asset. The folder contained subfolders with names, board members, executives, even Isaiah, and me. He started your file the day you were hired, Riker said quietly, long before your relationship began. I clicked through documents spanning 3 years, performance evaluations, personal details, even photos of me at company events. A chill ran through me as I realized the extent of Jason's calculation. He targeted you from the beginning, Riker continued. Your file has notes about your ambition, your trust issues, even your dating history. He was studying you, looking for vulnerabilities. Why me? My voice sounded distant to my own ears. Because of this. He opened another document, an organizational chart with succession planning notes. My name was highlighted as a high potential risk for his position. He saw you as a threat, Riker said. The affair wasn't just personal, it was strategic. Keep your enemies closer. The revelation should have devastated me, but instead, I felt an unexpected surge of pride. Jason Bennett, master manipulator and predator, had feared me enough to try to control me. There's something else, Riker hesitated. About Eloise. He opened another file containing email exchanges between Jason and Eloise, dated just weeks before the holiday party. My eyes widened as I read their coordinated plans. Jason would seduce me, Eloise would expose him, and together they would use my reaction to discredit me professionally. They were working together, I whispered, until Jason double-crossed her too. He was embezzling from their joint accounts, as well as the company. I leaned back in my chair, processing this final betrayal. So when she approached me, she was still following their original plan, just with a new motivation. Riker closed the files. I thought you should know the whole truth before you leave. Thank you. I stood, suddenly eager to be gone from this place of manipulation and lies. As I carried my box through the marketing department one last time, Callie fell into step beside me. Dinner tonight? She asked. A proper send-off? Actually, I have plans. I smiled at her surprised expression. Don't worry, I'll call you tomorrow with all the details. Outside, the spring air felt clean and new. I placed my box in my car and checked the time, just enough to make my appointment. The restaurant was small and elegant, tucked away from the main business district. I spotted her immediately, sitting alone at a corner table. You came, Eloise said as I slid into the seat across from her. I wasn't sure you would after everything. I almost didn't. I studied her face, searching for signs of the calculation I now knew had been there all along. Riker found the emails, Eloise. I know you and Jason planned to use me from the beginning. She didn't flinch. Yes, we did. Why tell me to meet you today? Why not just disappear? She took a sip of her wine before answering. Because despite how it started, I find myself respecting you, and because I have a proposition. Another one? I laughed without humor. I think I've had enough of those to last a lifetime. This one's different. She reached into her bag and pulled out a business card, sliding it across the table. I'm starting a consulting firm specializing in corporate fraud detection. I need a partner who understands both the business and the personal sides of deception. I stared at the card, then back at her. You can't be serious. Completely serious. We'd make an excellent team. You manipulated me, used me as a pawn in your game with Jason, and you turned the tables on both of us. A genuine smile curved her lips. That's exactly why I want to work with you. I should have walked out, should have told her exactly what I thought of her proposition. Instead, I found myself considering it. "Why would I ever trust you?" I asked. "You shouldn't, not completely, just like I won't fully trust you." She leaned forward. "But imagine what we could accomplish together. Two women who've seen behind the curtain of power and manipulation." I picked up the business card, turning it over in my fingers. "I'll think about it." "That's all I ask." She signaled for the check. "Take your time. Unlike Jason, I understand the value of patience." As she walked away, I remained at the table, the business card still in my hand. 6 months ago, I'd been a woman defined by what others wanted from me. Jason's lover, the company's rising star, the perfect employee. Now I was something else entirely, a woman who had walked through fire and emerged not just unburned, but illuminated. I slipped the card into my pocket and stepped out into the evening light. Whatever I decided, about Eloise, about my career, about my future, one thing was certain. The choice would be mine alone, made with clear eyes and on my own terms. Some fires don't destroy, they transform.